morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be catching this, thank you so much for, deciding to tune in to the Gaming Circle podcast this week. The podcast where we just can't stop talking about that damn grapple shot. This week, I'm here as usual, my boy, Mr. Everborn Saga. How you doing today, this morning, sir?
I'm all right. Don't mind me. I'm still chewing my breakfast sandwich, but I'm good. I'm ready to get back in the fight.
Hamless episodes. It'll be fine. We're gonna get into it. It's good. It's good. No worries. We've been having a lot of fun, and as such, it's causing late nights, which means early mornings, which require no cameras. So that's how we're gonna do it this morning. But we are also joined this morning. We're so excited because we're joined this morning because by one of the greatest minds and voices in the gaming community. I've been following his stuff for a long time. Boy, yes, sir. Man. A long time. Before I actually caught the whole podcasting bug, there were a few that were always in my rotation. And those who watch this show know who I'm talking about. We're talking about the ILP. Shout out to ILP. We're talking about Double Barrel Gaming. Shout out to Boom. I also kept DLC in my rotation. That's Jeff Kanata and Christian Spicer. Mr. Badbit was on their show a few weeks ago, so shout out to him. And our next guest. You know this man because he's in the Twitter streets, always taking no crap from anybody, speaking on the topics that are necessary, that need to be spoken on. You can catch him on his Twitch channel. You can catch him on YouTube. You can catch him on the GRG Podcast, which I was very honored to be a guest on not too long ago. Mr. KMEGA 405 himself. What's going on?
You almost called him K Asante, didn't you? It sounded like it.
It almost about to slip up, but that's okay. That's okay. No, man. Thank you so much.
How you doing, man?
No, man, I'm doing great, man. It's an honor, man. I really do appreciate the invite, man. I'm ready just to dive in and get into these deep conversations, man. I mean, I've caught some of you guys stuff. I mean, I hate that on Thursday nights I can't catch it. So one of these nights I'm going to have to do it and just tell Xbot like I'm going to miss the show, but I do be checking you guys out, man, and especially my boy Everborn, man. He came on Devin the Gamer, man. It's an honor. It's an honor and a pleasure, man, for the invite.
Oh, can we also give him another moniker, which is the Halo Encyclopedia?
Oh yeah, this man and we're gonna go into it, bro. We're gonna go into it because this is the man who will pull some information and references from the books, from the lore, from all the various games. He is the perfect man to have a conversation this weekend because Halo is everywhere right now. I assume we're going to get started into it. Halo is going to be a big topic for sure, right? But we can get started with what we've been watching, right? So I assume we've all been at least playing some of that Halo beta.
Been playing, man. You stuck on the reel.
I'm stuck. Yeah, I'm stuck on the reel. Look at me. It's the morning. What we've been playing. So besides the Halo chat, I'll let you start, Mr. Everborn Saga. What have you been playing?
I have been playing the Infinite Flight, but I haven't got because every time I was available.
Don't worry, we'll get into the logistics.
I know. But the point is, I've been playing against bots and slowly.
So you're trying to avoid the smoke? Nah, don't start that.
Slowly increasing. I'm up to ODST bots, working my way up to Spartans.
Okay.
But I'm having a lot of fun with that. Tales of Arise and Scarlet Nexus. I've touched those a few times, and I did not get a chance to go back to Kenna because I started Kenna the week before, but then last week's Flight came out. So then I was like, I'm going to try to finish it this week. I didn't touch it once. And so I need to get back to that. But right now it's Tales of Arise, Scarlet Nexus, and this Infinite Flight. But Kenna, I'm probably going to try to get back to after this weekend.
Yeah, that's I'm similar in that. Kenna, I was also really high on that game, trying to get into it, but as has been the last couple of weeks, gaming is kind of swallowing us whole. So it's been joining the backlog, even though I don't want it to be. Even Deathloop as well. It's been one of those things. Anything else you've been playing?
Did you finish Deathloop?
I am I would say on Deathloop, I'm about 70% in, 70%. So I'm a good ways in, and I'm still really enjoying it. But that Halo beta that has taken precedent and started shaking things up. So yes, but that's all you've been playing as of late, besides the big Halo.
Yeah, man, that's it. Tales of all the anime games.
All the anime games, and I've also been playing Scarlet Nexus, so we can get into that a little bit in a little bit. But I'll mention real quickly before I pass it to KMEGA. I've been playing, as you see on the screen here, and I'll get into this in a little bit. But Wolverine Origins,
Oh wow,
X-Men Origins Wolverine Uncaged Edition. People forget about this game, so I had to hunt it down and capture footage just to remind people that yes, there's never been a great Wolverine game, but to me, a Wolverine game is both the character and the environment. And although the environment isn't perfect, the character in this game is absolutely perfect, and people need to remember how good this game was. So I just played a little bit of it, but we'll get into the nitty gritties of it. I played this. I also have a little bit of Tunic footage because the demo. That game is full of demos. Oh, by the way, check him heal right here. This is what I'm talking about. While the adamantium, while he's getting hurt left and right, if you give him some time, you'll see, like, even back then, this is what, 2005, 2006, you see him like healing. It's absolutely fantastic.
How far off do you think Insomniac's vision will be from this in terms of gore?
Oh, way off.
And that's the question. That's the question. That's why I brought this up. Yes.
I just because of the culture, that they can't go too deep. It'll be, when they say that it'll be graphic. Okay, think for instance, like with God of War, right? That was one of the things that I was skeptical of when Corey Balrog's version of God of War was coming to I forget the other man's name right now. David Jaffe's God of War, right? Like, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, how much are y'all going to pull back? And to my surprise, it was gore. It still had gore, but it wasn't on that level.
It was more mainstream, you're thinking?
Yeah, it was more mainstream, more acceptable. It was a little bit over the top on some occasions, but like when you go to David Jaffe's version of it, like, no, it was night and day. So when they say that this going to still maintain its violent, gory roots, I know that they can go far, but I don't think that, like, Marvel's going to let them push it too far. You see what I'm saying?
What you're saying is he may be fighting against robots and people with green blood.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, something to that nature. I see a lot of Sentinels. I mean, and they could have people in there. Just some random guys in without their face being shown. But there might be a limb or something, like an arm or something might be taken off, but like decapitations and things of that nature, like what you've seen with this in this game,
it's all dismemberment. The whole game is dismemberment.
Totally dismember. Yeah, I don't see it being that violent.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm not sure, and that's why I brought this up because I feel like a lot of folks have forgotten this game. And for obvious reasons, it was tied to a terrible movie, and by and large, this game is terrible. Like, I'll be honest with you, it's not great because it doesn't hone in on the X-Men or Marvel in any way. They basically took him out of his element. But the reason why I really appreciate this is because it does still retain the essence of the character. Continue.
Okay. So speaking of that, the game's called Wolverine, and there have been some allusions to the Hulk potentially being in the game, which opens the door to many other characters that could potentially show up, which would be very interesting. But my question to you is, how much of a focus on the X-Men do we think will be in this game? Is this going to be like a sort of backdoor into basically a whole X-Men game where the whole cast of characters are there, even though you're playing as Wolverine? Or is it going to be he's off on doing his own thing?
I don't think it'll be more X-Men specifically focused. I don't know why. I have no basis for it. But based on what the environment is about, what the people are about, they're trying to reach as many people as possible. I don't think they're making a hardcore game for hardcore fans. So because of that, I think more MCU, Marvel as a whole, and maybe throw in an X-Men character here or there. But it won't be specifically X-Men, which I want. I want specifically X-Men, but I don't think we see like Cyclops show up or Storm or something like that. You'll get some characters here and there, but it'll be more maybe Nightcrawler, maybe adjacent characters, as well as, your Spider-Mans potentially and those things. I think it's more MCU kind of focus rather than X-Men specific. Everborn, what are you saying?
No. I mean, when you say they're not making a hardcore game for hardcore fans, which fans? Because I think there's a lot of hardcore like MCU fans, and then there's a lot of hardcore comic book Logan Wolverine fans, and then there are a lot of hardcore Spider-Man Insomniac Sony fans, and all. Yeah, so
I'm talking more hardcore
all those are
gaming
different
fans.
Things.
Yes, I'm talking hardcore gaming fans that may also not be. I mean, they're reaching, to my understanding, or as I'm reading the tea leaves, it looks like they're trying to bring those other hardcore fans into the gaming space, pulling a character they recognize. So it's not necessarily for the hardcore gamer, but someone who is such a fan of these characters that it would get you to buy a console. That's what it seems to me. Okay. Why else would you pull such an iconic IP, right? And it's not X-Men, it's Wolverine, right? Because even they did the same thing back in the day. Instead of just making the X-Men, they called it the X-Men, but let's be honest, those early Bryan Singer movies was Wolverine and the X-Men, right? So they're kind of doing the same here. They're pulling that iconic character because everybody knows him.
Well, so I guess that was kind of my question though. Like, so are they going to pull a Bryan Singer, but just actually call it Wolverine? But
I think that's what we're talking about. Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about. I think we're talking more about, hey, this character is being brought to the forefront because this is a character you might know of more than the others. And while we bring him to the forefront, we'll also throw in some secondary characters and other characters that may not be as famous as Wolverine, but the fans know him and love him, them, Hulk and all the others. Well, obviously Hulk is a whole different beast, but I suspect you'll see, I would love to see Gambit or somebody in this.
Gambit doesn't get enough love.
Oh, bro,
no, he doesn't.
I'm looking for the day they finally do him justice because he needs a game.
Not the Channing Tatum movie that was supposed to happen.
Even during the time when that was rumored, had they pulled the trigger, that could have been something because at that time he could have done it. Now, not so much, right?
Yeah.
But even during that time, that could have been a thing, So I'm just waiting for them to finally go. Okay, we've had enough of Batman. Let's work on another character. They're always stuck with the same guys. Let's move on. We have a lot of IP. Let's move on. So hopefully we'll see that. But I want this game specifically to get a bit more love than it has. And before we move on from this one, I will mention that I dug through the archives to find this, and literally the archives. This was found on archive.org, where they for those who know.
Oh, he literally dug through the archives. Okay,
that literally, yes. And if you find it there and you're able to get it, it's free and legal. And there's literally a CD image of this that you can find attached to your PC and install it. If you got a PC that you built and the laptop, anything in the last 10 years, this will play it smooth as butter. I got this for free and played it.
Oh man, where's that app again? Because
I'll send you the links and everything. I'll put it in the show notes. Anybody can go download it and play this just like this. I downloaded this and I downloaded X2, Wolverine's Revenge, the OG Xbox game. I haven't actually installed that one yet, but I downloaded that one too.
I
a CD
never
of
played
it.
that one. Yeah, I never.
Yeah, yeah. And they're very interesting. There are obviously they're artifacts of their time, but I enjoy going back and tapping into some of these old school games to remind us where we were and where we're going. So I'm looking forward to the Insomniac thing. Let's see. So moving forward, I will also real quick just pop on here another thing I've been playing. Go ahead, everyone.
No, I was just gonna say. Oh shit! I see Tunic. Okay.
Yeah.
I see you, player. No. So for me, like going back to sort of the archives, it really only works for me with the 16-bit era games. And I don't know what it is about just the nature of 3D games. They don't really age well for me. Like, there are outliers like, Mario 64, but for the most part, that Uncanny Valley stuff is too much. And when you go back and try to look at an old Tomb Raider game, it's almost impossible. Like the blocky, it's hard to do. I can't do it. That's why I'm all about remasters, not remakes and remasters. I love what they did with Demon Souls. even though I bought that game and never played it, it's still in my backlog. I bought it on day one of the PlayStation.
I've been dabbling with Demon's Souls a little bit here and there. Whenever I get the chance, I'm just kind of playing with it a little bit. But no, you are absolutely right. I will defend X-Men Origins Wolverine a little bit. As far as graphics go, if somebody were to, now obviously the complexity of the gameplay and all that is a bit simplistic for its time, right? It was good for its time, but now it's simplistic by today's standards. But if you were to say an indie studio created that game this year, I would believe it. The graphics are clean, they look good, it's not blocky, it's not crappy, it's actually pretty decent. And they did implement a lot of interesting things, like I was saying, if he's taking damage, he goes all the way down to the adamantium bones, and you see it. And as time goes on, it kind of re-heals. Really cool. They were shooting above their clip back in those days. Raven Softworks, the Call of Duty studio, the support studio that now does Call of Duty. They did that one. That was their last game. So, it's an interesting game, and I will put the details of how to get it in the show notes. I think I posted it on Twitter a while back, but I'll send it again. You can just go on archive.org, find it, and download it. And by the way, if you guys do end up doing that and you find any other cool nuggets on there, shout it out, send me a note. I always like digging through those things and finding interesting nuggets. But Everbone, you are absolutely right. I think it's because those old school 16-bit or the Mario graphics are very stylized for that purpose. So it still retains its look years later. Whereas these other games are trying to be as realistic as possible for its time. So now if you look at it with these eyes, 2021 eyes, you can definitely see bro, you weren't making it, So it's probably better to keep the stylized graphics rather than to try and achieve that realness of its time. And that's what a lot of them were trying to do. So yes, moving on, let's talk a little bit about Tunic here. I know you've played a lot of this, Everborn. Mr. KMEGA, have you tried this yet? There's been a lot of demos out there.
I played the demo. Yeah, I played it until I completed it. It was a lot tougher than I anticipated when I played it. I also played it at E3.
Cool.
Well, yeah, it was really, really, really interesting. Because a lot of people was wondering what happened with this game because it was put on ice for a while. And so there it was, right by Madden and some other game, and the Halo PC version of it was like the first tier of the Master Chief Collection. Tunic was right there by itself, and there was like only one person there. So I was like, let me try this game. And then I was like, okay, all right. And the one beautiful thing about when you play those games at E3, or if you get a chance to play these games before they're fully completed, is that you'll see them before they get all the polish and the bells and whistles.
So you see it evolve.
Right. And it was Biomutant was really one of those that shocked me from where you were from when I played it in 2019 to where it is now, and Tunic is another. Because when I seen it, it was graphically, it was still pretty. But then now when you look at it, you're like, holy smokes, this thing is like fire. It's dope. So yeah, I had a really good time playing it. Like I said, it was challenging. It definitely had a Zelda vibe. I was so happy to get that sword. Because boy, I was tired of hitting those crazy things with that stick. Yeah, man. And then like when you win that little dungeon and you had to be slick to try to get out the water to get those things.
Oh yeah, that is tough, man.
Yeah. You had to find that little pattern. Finally did it, and then that boss was right there waiting for you in that little cave. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
So for me, I've always been high on this game. I've been following the game for years because I make the Everborn games and stuff, and this guy he would give like Unity tutorials, right? And just him also being a single developer and getting this level of recognition. Like, so I'm already in the bag for this. Like, I'm gonna, even if this is on Game Pass, I'm gonna buy it, whatever.
For sure.
But Death.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
I'm gonna come there in a second. But
I know where you're going.
The issue with the toughness in this game, I think that it needs a little bit of balancing with the dodge meter. I don't really think the dodge meter should exist, to be completely honest, right? And I think it makes the combat unnecessarily frustrating. There's one thing between being challenging or being difficult, but the dodge meter seems like an unnecessary hindrance, right? And maybe there's a way to sort of
over time increase it,
right, or something. But I think it just didn't feel right. With
after
what they were
Death's
asking,
Door, right?
no, before playing Death's Door, we were saying this when the demo came out. Like when you're fighting again, because there's that there's a few bosses, right? There's the one boss to get out of the dungeon, but then there's that other big monster thing that if you go like,
and by the way, that's the old demo. The new demo doesn't have any of that.
Okay,
Right.
They remixed the whole deal.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I didn't.
Okay, so I haven't played the new demo yet.
Yeah, the new demo doesn't have any of. I know what you're talking about, everyone, because we talked about it in the past. But this new demo does not have any of those references that the old one did.
Okay, that's what I was like.
I gotta check. I gotta check it out then.
Yeah, it was just
and they've had like 3 or 4 demos so far, and each of them remixes it a little bit, so it's not the same as the others. It's interesting, there's a lot of demos out there, but they've been keeping it fresh.
Right, and so like, so for me, I hope that's what the time is kind of being used for, because I think he has some like gold on his hands with this, and a little bit of polish, so the combat is a little bit more satisfying, because there's just times where I felt like things weren't fair, if you catch my drift.
Yes.
So I hope that gets ironed out, but even if it doesn't, I'm in the back here now. All high on this single developer, and then a game with 2 developers came out, Death's Door.
Yep. Which
in many ways, the isometric map, the sort of the haunting yet soothing score, the challenging combat that is very well tuned in a way to sort of make you feel, and there's more of a story in Death's Door, at least than has been presented in Tunic.
Yeah.
And another thing in Tunic, and we'll see. The thing about the Zelda games is there are towns, there are people to talk to, and sort of quests to go on, and none of that really exists in Death's Door. Not really. It's slightly there in Death's Door, and I haven't noticed any of it here. And I think that may be a detriment to this game, but we'll see what that goes. But Death's Door comes out, and it's a lot of the same. It feels
it definitely ate this game's lunch. That's for sure.
Yes,
it definitely did that. Before that came out, this was it. We were so excited for this. We were so anticipating this. This took just a little too long to come out, and Death's Door basically Kevin Feige the situation. So now Death's Door now this will come out, and they'll go, nah, not so good as Death's Door, it'll directly be compared,
And you've played the Everborn 2D platform.
Yes, I have.
Which had been in the making for several years, and now there are things out that kind to rival it.
Yeah, and now you're going to go back to the drawing board.
Exactly. I feel like I'm suffering the same fate. So I get it.
Right. That's right. No, but I feel bad for these guys. I, too, have been following this for a long time. I followed this developer since before he joined Finji. He was just by himself. There were, let me call it, giant bomb interviews where he basically was sitting on the couch, during E3 20, whenever, talking about how it's coming along, and it's just by himself until eventually Finji, the Finji publishers got with him. Even Finji themselves are a very small indie kind of publishing house. So the whole idea has been very, very grassroots, very, very by himself, getting a few guys here and there to help him. I always thought it was so admirable, and it looks so great, And if it wasn't for Death's Door, this would still be, really high. And of course, it's really high on people's list. I'm very looking forward to it still. But it's just it's a little unfortunate that Death's Door has kind of come and eaten their lunch a little bit. I suspect it might be a little bit like, damn,
But you know what? And that's the other problem. People are gonna make the comparison, and they came from very different places. But for me, I love this kind of game. I am above all else a 16-bit gamer, and if you give me something that reminds me of that era, like I'm already bought and paid for, right? So for me, okay, we got Death's Door, and now we're gonna get this. That's great. Death's Door was 2021. This will be 2022.
I think this is still coming in 2021.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah, I know they haven't really officially said.
We're in October, and there's a lot of dates we don't got. I don't know if we're getting the gunk either. There's a lot of things. And
the gunk is also on my list for sure.
Crossfire X. I don't know if we're getting any of those.
Yeah,
not this year.
We'll see.
And what's up to the mag? What's happening?
Indeed, yes. Let's update. What's up to the mag? You know, to Gabe O, Rodimus. You know, the homie Gerald Mack is in the chat. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you guys so much.
I like to call him the Mac. That's
the Mac, yes.
That's it.
He, by the way, the Mac, aka Magilla Gorilla, was like
AKA hashtag I'm 50 or 51.
Yeah, hashtag I'm 51. Yes.
I don't got time for this.
No, I don't have time for this BS. That's right. I'm gonna switch up to the conversation where we were all playing, which is and Forte is also in the spot. Welcome, good sir. So
Forte.
We'll transition to Halo Infinite chat, right? Because McGilla was on there with us this weekend. We were doing this. It was myself. It was Boom. It was Gerald Mack. I think Zemi Games was in there. A few other folks came and jumped in and out. We had such a good time. I will start with you, KMEGA. How has your experience? And I saw you streaming Halo Infinite yesterday. How has your experience been in the multiplayer so far?
Oh, it's been excellent. I mean, I started on the first flight, and I both played it on that. I played it on PC and I played it on the Series X and S. And I was like, okay, this is really I'm enjoying it on all platforms right now. I'm like, but there's still some things that needs to be polished, graphically. And then here comes the second flight, which was last week, and then you've seen the increase, what they've done to increase the graphics. And then also the smoothness was always there from the very beginning, but there was some tweaking to the weapons that they needed to do. Especially the one thing that was noticeable right off the beginning was the skewer. The skewers, the way that you could shoot the skewer, the sights were awful in the first flight, and then they made it perfect in the second flight, and so now it's like, oh, I can't wait to run to get that gun. Now they nerfed the needler.
Definitely they did. Yep.
Yeah, they definitely nerfed the needler. I guess it was just too me because that's one of my favorite guns. I call it the Primatine Mist because the way it just kind of shoots off that pink stuff, the dust. But I had but I was really doing some damage with that. But overall, like, no, I think the game is amazing. This is the crazy thing about it. Like, since they've the first flight, you could just play it as long as you want to all weekend long. I knew that me and One Bad Mother, we knew it was going to be in trouble because we were playing until 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and that's just like what are we doing? Like, this is not even, we're shooting bots. We're not even playing against people, and so it's crazy to see.
So people, real quick, not to interrupt people, this is why we're doing a non-cam episode this morning, my friends. We all played to the red eye, and we're not good for TV right now.
Right.
When I tell you what time I went to bed last night, man,
I saw you tweeting at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly.
Me too.
What was what?
Yeah,
Indeed.
me too, man.
Continue,
so
man. Continue.
yeah, so that it was a beautiful thing. The one thing that I've said, and I think you guys remember me saying this, was that I love the fact that they are implementing everything, because I've said this before. I said the perfect way in a perfect world, 343 can implement a love letter to all Halos into one game. And now I'm like, I don't know if they can do that. Now, I mean, the money that they've invested into it, you think that they would, and sure enough, they've done it. The run is not as fast as Halo 5. But it's faster than any other Halos, and that is, I'm fine with that. I knew that there was going to be compromise. The one finding out that they were going to have the thrusters come back from Halo 5, and they're going to use that as an ability. I'm really stoked about that. Just give me the ground pound, and it is going to be absolutely perfect, the best Halo of all time. But I do like the way that you can use the abilities. They're just everything from the sounds to the look to the feel. I don't think that there could be a person. I know that there's some out there because there's just some people out there that just want to complain about everything. But I don't think if you are a true,
I thought of one person in specifically, but yes.
Yeah. There's always
we're not gonna name no names.
That person's right. that little section that's always going to dislike something. But but I feel that if you are a true Halo fan, you can't complain that much. You see that there was a compromise, and everybody gets a little bit of something that they want, if not more. Especially if you're a Reach fan, because I feel that it has a Reach feel to it.
Yep, definitely.
But also has everything else that's implemented into it. So yeah, I'm totally stoked. I can't wait to play it here a little bit later today.
So what you're saying is you're concerned.
Fantastic.
Oh man, yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm concerned. I'm concerned so much that I'm going to play the hell out of it, and I'm going to buy it when it launches. That's how concerned I am. So,
we got Slow-Mo has entered the chat.
Indeed.
Yeah, so.
Now, and the performance, I'm there with you, Slow-Mo. There was a little bit of performance, this and that on the PC side. I'll give you that. And I too had some performance issues. There were a few times it would kick you out of the game, like we're all playing and we all get booted, and then it blocks you for quitting a game early. You are a banned user because you quit the game early.
Oh wow! So
it did. Y'all booted us.
All right. Because I only played it on the PC on the first flight, and I didn't get booted at all. But
the new one, they've instituted some of that quit early thing, which is a good thing, because you don't want to be having people just bouncing out,
Right.
But I think that there's still a little bit of work to do there. But no, I feel you. Like as far as the moment to moment, the gameplay, it was just so much fun, bro. It was so much, and I'm telling you, and I don't know how much you played KMEGA about the on the big team battle, but Everborn, you have not played Big Team Battle.
Yeah, every time I tried, because there were only certain hours of the day when you could play.
Mm-hmm. So true. It is a level. If you love what you're experiencing in this new flight, bro, Big Team Battle is a whole nother level. Well, oh my God, that thing is fun. It's so good.
Even playing against the bots and using the new equipment like the repulsor and the grapple shot and all that.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I could think the entire time was, my God, in my college days, what we would have done with this.
Been bananas. Right. That's right.
And if that's the feeling you get, they did it right.
Exactly. 100%. I saw a video on here. I think Lord Cognito retweeted it. Y'all need to check it out. First one I saw was one of somebody doing Spider-Man
shot to get the Spider-Man
grapple shot. Yeah, and the second one was somebody using the grapple shot to get to get one of the
Pelican,
who had a Pelican. Oh man, like on this level, literally Spider-Man his way into the air to go grab the Pelican from somebody who's playing. That's what this game does, man. It is.
Or the one where the dude drove the warthog off, jumped off before he died, and then Spider-Man his way back up.
His way back. I thought that was great. The best, so good. Another good one is that the repulsor, which I call the Wonder Woman bracelets.
Wonder Woman bracelet.
Bracelet is there was.
You need no real defined power, but they just use it narratively because it's convenient.
Right.
Sorry.
On last week's on last week's flight, me and Don, we play all the time. So together all the time. So he was there and we were trying to implement what we seen where the person used the repulsor to catch a warthog or a mongoose or somebody going to try to repulse him and fly him off the edge. And sure enough, he did it. And it was great. And then he also found that you can use the repulsor as a ground pound. And I was like, whoa. So I tried it and I missed the dude, but I did weaken his shields because the repulsor is that powerful. But just the sandbox of the thoughts of just whatever that you can imagine to be done within a Halo game. I think that maybe, as much as I love Halo 5, I think for a lot of people that type of imagination was lost because Halo 5 was really competitive. It had that big competitive feel more so than just kind of do wild, goofy stuff that would actually work. this is definitely going back to that type of that type of phase, because the things that you could do with these abilities is just sick. So
it's amazing.
You know what you're talking about like systems like that just interact with each other, right? Arcane was talking about that with like Redfall and what what's this guy's name? Pete Hines was talking about how Arcane games are sort of sandboxes like that, with systems that interact with each other, and then you play it. So I think that's always been what Halo should have been, and you know, Halo 4, the multiplayer was kind of trying to capitalize off the COD hype, and Halo 5 became very sort of esoteric in terms of you got to be a hardcore Halo player to really get the most out of this.
Right.
And this seems like the barrier of entry here is a lot lower to get people in and kind of get them up to speed. I just think the whole, even just the playing Slayer against bots, just to kind of train yourself is a genius idea. And the way they rolled it out, because we talked about this during the last flight, where not the one last weekend, but the first flight that they did, where it was really smart that they had everyone playing against bots, because it made sort of the people who have kind of fallen out of Halo or the casuals feel powerful again.
Right.
And then they slowly amped up the bots so that people could also get the challenge that they were looking for, and then they turned it on. So, because if they turn on PvP just like day one in that thing, people are gonna get like murdered, and they're gonna be like, I don't like this,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so the way they're doing this is really, really smart, and I take my hat off. I tip my hat to them.
You know, another thing too, I have to, you know, I mean, I love my fighters, right? That is one of the things that fighting games has to get back to as well, because they've taken out the ease, or that the fact with multiplayer, when you're playing against another opponent, that when people who aren't into the genre as heavy as I am, they're going to deal with those sweaty characters that just wants to just dominate you and not give you an opportunity to let people learn how to play, to let them see if they can enjoy the game. There's just some people out here that just wants to be an ass and just dominate and take over and use whatever, you know.
Yeah, Halo has had that. You mean
the type of dudes in Street Fighter that just put one quarter on the joint, and then they pick Zangief. Well, anytime you go play somebody in Street Fighter, they pick Zangief.
Right,
it's not going to be a
way. They don't want to. After they had so many wins, they don't want to mix it up. They just want to play with that one character, because they spend all the time of learning every combo that they possibly can, and not get everybody it's just that selfishness of like, well, I just want to win. I don't care about anybody else liking the game or whatever. And that's where they made it too Evo for a lot of fighters out there. And that turns people off. It's just like what you were saying, Everborn, was that people, once, people who don't like to get into, who want to try the game and get into it, but then they have to deal with an opponent that isn't trying to let them learn or trying to make them have fun. That hurts, and I think that's one of the things that fighting games definitely have to do. And you're right, the bots made people feel very, very powerful, because when you're looking and you got like 30 kills and you like, oh man, I'm ready for some human beings. And then when you go out there and
then Maury comes out and
you're like 9 and 15, like, hold on, wait a minute, whoa, that was a lie. So it's a beautiful feeling, but I'm totally with you.
Yeah. And Everborn, real quick, weren't the bots a little different this time? Like this flight, I just for a minute, for a little while, I popped in there and I'm like, these Spartans and ODSTs are more capable than they were in the last flight. We was wrecking shop, like you'd be hearing double, triple, ridiculous kills all day back in the last flight. Now they were putting up a pretty good fight, more than they were before.
Against the ODSTs, when I was in the map that lets you get the Covenant sort of motorcycle thing that has the shooter on it. I don't know what it's called. What vehicle is that called? Is that the Mongoose is the UNSC joint, I think.
Which one are you talking about?
This is the purple joint with the
Ghost.
The Ghost. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that I got like 5 kills in a row against the ODST. You just charge at them, and they were barely jumping, and I don't know if I was just that good or the AI wasn't up to snuff. But that was against the ODSTs.
So to answer Gabo's question, I actually think this is a very good Halo to jump in on if you're a newbie to it, because there are so many different levels to it now. And actually, it's good that you mentioned that people who play COD compared to Halo are different. There's a lot of Halo. There's a lot of COD control in Halo now. Like a lot of people that play COD like religiously. I was playing with a bunch of them during this flight, and they were saying how the controls are so like the control scheme has leveled up to a point where it makes going back to the old way of playing Halo more difficult now.
Let me ask both of you guys a question. What button layout do you guys use? Do you use the default? Because I've been gearing towards button puncher, where B is melee, and right stick is pressing it. That's the duck.
So way back in the day. Yeah, way back in the day when I was on my recess parks and whatnot, people used to make fun of you if you have to customize your controls, and this was a long time ago.
Wow, yeah.
So no matter how far back this was, childish dumb games, it's always kind of stayed with me to always, before I make any customizations, or sometimes I make the dead, I tweak dead zones. I use the Elite 2 so I can go in and tweak it, make it very nice. But I always try to at least play for a substantial amount of time with the OG default setting to see if I can work with it rather than always having to tweak. I actually like the default setting of the new flight a lot compared to the point where I would wish for them to maybe like slip in that profile into Halo Master Chief Collection and let that be the profile standard moving forward.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna. Well, go ahead, because I was going to change the subject slightly.
No, I was just going to say, I'm kind of like with K on that one. I look at it, I just kind of want to learn the game as they feel, as the developers, how they feel that the game should be played. Yep. So I go with that. The only complaint that I have is the clicking in on the right stick for the melee. I wish that was I just wish that was the bumper, but. And I know that you can change that, but you
can though. You can switch to bumper puncher.
Well, no, I know, but that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of hard headed, like he is the same way, because I'm like everything else feels right.
Except for that.
So I can live with it because I really like to use the melee, and especially when I get the grappling hook, and then I come in and I get
that grapple well-timed elbow. It is clutch.
You know what's crazy though? In the first flight, I kind of got this muscle memory for the grapple and right stick melee, and then last weekend I switched to bumper puncher, which is how I normally play, where melee is a button. Is the B button specifically, and then but muscle memory was too stuck on the bumper for the melee and then pressing the right stick. So it's almost like now I got to teach myself I got to either stick with the default because I just learned how to do this new combo, or go back to my custom thing, because I made a lot of mistakes still trying to press the right stick. To melee, just because I got messed up from the first flight. So
they really need to default these. There's been so many of them, and each of them are good in their own way. But I think they've threaded they've threaded a very, very difficult needle. Both newbies, people who like COD and things like that, and folks who are very big diehard Halo fans who want the OG Halo feeling. They both say they like the way the controls are right now. So I think this is it. They should stick with this and standardize this across the board.
I agree, but this also, let's not forget that COD implemented how Halo played. So I mean,
yes.
so people keep. I mean, that just kind of shows you how a lot of
Ouroboros,
gamers out there, right?
Snake eating its own tail.
right. So it basically kind of shows how a lot of gamers who don't know that history, that like Halo revolutionized how we played the shooter on consoles. And so COD is what COD has done. They have leached and been a chameleon and have taken things from very popular other shooters and put that in their games. But yeah, they took what Halo brought to the table, and then it just increased it with the run and things like that and the clamor. And now Halo has did it with Halo 5, and that's why I loved Halo. That was another reason why I loved Halo 5. I'm like, oh yeah, finally, that's what I've been waiting for you guys to get more modern, because that's what kind of made me stay on COD instead of me playing Halo 4.
Well, and, you know what though, to that point though, right? Like I've never, this is just me, and I'm obviously like the only person, but I never really was into COD because it just felt too, I don't know. I like the floatiness. Yeah, I like the floatiness of Halo. And I never really liked how COD felt. And I specifically stayed away from COD because it never felt like a Halo game to me. And that's why when Halo 4 came out, I was so upset that like, this is your Halo. This is the reason you sort of stand apart. You don't need to go and try to be like COD. And then 5, I feel like they was it more difficult to get into? Yes, but it still felt like it had its own identity. And that's what I feel. That's what I love about this one, because it is more accessible to even a casual or somebody who doesn't game online much anymore, like myself, but still giving you the feeling of an old Halo and having sort of the different layers to where a more pro player can get into it, at least from what I've seen, as well as somebody like me who hasn't really played competitively in Halo since Halo 3.
Well, no, and then you're right. I mean, like that's the thing with Halo 4. It just kind of turned a lot of people off by trying to say that Halo conceded to COD because they had the same type of
loadouts and all that.
And then like you could call in for not for strikes, but you could get like assistance, and you can call in that like
it was a little too blatant at the time.
Yeah, it was blatant.
Didn't appreciate that.
But that in that kind of term, like I was pleased with it, but I also at the same time I was heavy in the COD back then, so I'm like I'd rather just keep playing COD. And so so now when you look at the transition to 5, you're absolutely right. It had its own identity because it made the Spartans feel more powerful because they had boosts, they had different things that they could use, and it still felt like Halo. Now, the traditional Halo fan hated 5 for that reason.
I remember that.
But that was the part of the evolution, the progression of the game, because you can't. And I had this. I was on Weapon Wheel. Couple of months back, and I was explaining that to Bond, to BG and Bond, that what Halo can't do, and what Halo cannot do with this multiplayer is go back to that old way of playing.
Yep. Don't evolve.
The kids will not gravitate to it. Every shooter has run. If you had a gun, I mean, you had a game you had 2 games that had run, and then you take that away because the old school don't like it, you're gonna hold back on Infinite, and Infinite is gonna fail. Period. Because and then it just didn't make any sense whatsoever to have these dudes in these big ass suits and to come out and not run and not clamor,
and limit their motion.
Yeah, limit their motion. Like, I mean, that just didn't make any sense. So that's what I'm saying. With Infinite, they did it perfect. I know that they're still going to do some tweaking to certain other things, but this is exactly what I was hoping for. And I mean, I can't be more happier for 343, especially.
So
respect that.
So we're about almost an hour in, but before we get off this Halo topic, people have asked already.
I got more things to say about.
Well, hold up. There's a lot of people in the chat going, "Hey, are we here?" I saw Gabo ask, "Where's the smoke? Has it started yet?" This land is about to start. So before we get off this Halo topic real quick, right? There was a conversation, we were talking about this in the green room before the show started. What do you guys think this means for the single player, and specifically for the conversation to smoke? And we'll keep this to about 10 minutes for the conversation related to smoke. Do we think we'll see Locke? And if we don't, is that a problem? I will take you first, Mr. KMEGA. Go for it.
Absolutely, it would be a slap in the damn face for anybody who for anybody that, well, for Microsoft that talks about inclusion, talk about we're trying to reach out and bring in more women protagonists, more people of color protagonists. You bring one of the most to me important African-American characters, that he's not goofy, he's not joyful, he doesn't have funny hair, he's not gyrating his arms, he is no nonsense, a strong.
You said he's not Barrett? I'm sorry.
Right. No,
I didn't mean that. That just slipped out. And
yes, you did. Yes, you did, Slender. Go for it.
We don't say the planet. Oh my! You don't care about the earth. You don't.
Oh wow, that is a good impression, bro.
It made me so sick.
Locke was not a jive turkey.
Me, man. Upset me. I've been playing Final Fantasy. I cannot finish it because every time he shows up, I'm like, get this idiot out of here.
Yeah, like get this fool out of here. Who voiced him? Like if
on purposely bad. Right. Like, it was good.
Purposely bad. Like, you don't care about the planet. I'm like, what the hell? Anyway, so that was.
And how was that little girl his daughter? Anyway.
Rodimus is saying, how about Coltrane? See, Coltrane is also flamboyant, but he did that right. I like him. He did it the right way. Well, no, this dude was a little too pandering.
Everybody loves Coltrane. Listen, it's nothing wrong with having certain characters be wild and flamboyant and crazy, all that and crazy. There's nothing wrong with that. But for within the Black community, that is damn near all of the characters that we get. You know what I'm saying? It's very few protagonists that is solid like Locke. Like, that was the thing that cracked me up when people like, Locke is boring. Locke. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute.
Come on now. Slow-mo, please, don't start.
No, we won't.
What is that?
No, we will not, sir. We will not leave Barrett alone. Get out of here with that.
You played the same game I did, Slow-mo.
I'm like, shit, I'd rather just go back to the to just the words. Don't let this man talk again.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Let me read and think of Barrett talking intelligent. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody else can have voice actors. When Barrett speaks, it should be words.
No. I had to switch right back to the Japanese.
There we go. Yeah, that might be better.
Audio when I heard that.
You know what? I might need to do that then.
Yeah, I have not tried that. That might be better.
I have not tried that either. So anyway, but when people tell me that Locke is boring, I'm like, you know who Locke reminds me of? Master Chief. No nonsense. A leader. He doesn't have to talk too much. He just says what needs to be done and how it needs to be said. And on top of that, he's a leader, and he's a leader of one of the most diverse Spartan groups out there. Because you you got your Team Osiris. So I'm like, you take that away, you're gonna have man, I'm hitting up Aaron Greenberg. I'm hitting up Phil, Sarah Bond. I'm Megatron. I'm hitting up Paris Lockhart. I'm hitting all the people I can try to try to talk to about it.
Slow-mo here, damage controlling for Barrett. But anyway, listen.
Oh man,
all these people that say, Locke didn't have no personality. I'm gonna say something controversial right now. How much of a personality does Chief have? They are both stoic.
3 gave Chief a personality.
Okay, you see it too.
That's right.
Right.
Chief was a superhero that before Halo 4 came out, they made him into a human. They made him into a real person. And I know the books and everything were out there, but he is a tragic figure. And Halo 4 is the first time that came through in the games. right? But Locke, what is
This
this
dude
man
needs to
saying?
stop, man. He needs to stop. You either get him on the show or you need to stop slandering from the chat. This is some BS right
I
now.
really appreciate you, Cole. I really appreciate slow mo. You love the planet just like I do. Okay, go ahead, man.
Yo, they really need to reach out to you next time they need one because you got the voice on lock.
Now,
For sure.
now, let me ask you all a question, right?
Uh-huh.
We see that those pop-in issues that we saw are not present, not that I have noticed anyway, in the multiplayer, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know in every instance of a multiplayer, the campaign fidelity is a little bit higher because there's less things that need to happen.
And this is PC footage, by the way, just so you know.
Right.
There you go.
So the question is, can we assume, or can we intimate that the graphics issue has been fixed?
Yes.
I will wait until I see it, but usually you're right. Multiplayers are the floor, not the ceiling, so we can only
right.
So
again, with this, is there any reason to think that this would be the only occasion where in any game where multiplayer looks better than campaign?
No, definitely not. No, definitely not.
So we have no reason to
I'm
assume
quite
that.
excited for the graphics. Oh yeah,
Okay.
I have no reason to assume it. Yeah.
The only game that I can say that's on par, but it's still a little step down is Gears 5.
Okay. So Gears 5 looks better in multiplayer?
No. I'm saying that's comparable to the single player.
Okay, I got you.
Because Gears 5 looks so good.
Have you played Gears 5 recently, Mega?
Like Hive Busters?
I mean, post Series X and new updates.
Oh yeah. I the last time I played was about 5 months ago.
Okay, and that's campaign or only multiplayer?
No, that was multiplayer. But when Hive Busters first came out, I played it then, and then I was like, oh man, this is the best looking.
It is the best looking one of. I mean, wow,
God,
it
blew my mind how good it looks.
So where I'm going with this is
shout out real quick. Shout out to One Bad Mother, pointing out a really good point. In multiplayer, light is fixed. But in the campaign, it'll be dynamic, So those are the things. But still, even in this world where we see the multiplayer as we see it now, there is no complaints from anybody. So it can only get better from there with dynamic lighting and whatnot.
Yeah, story modes is always looking better. Yeah, I totally agree with you guys on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Everborn. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
So again, if our concerns are alleviated about the graphics. And we've seen what the AI can do from these bots. And we know how all the weapons feel and how the vehicles feel and equipment and everything. We know how the game feels and plays. Is the only question what the story will be?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, so that being said,
Isn't that what wasn't that the kiss of death for Halo 5? There was
I want to talk.
Issue.
I'm glad you brought up.
There were no campaign issues. Everything was clean. The campaign was the kiss of death for people. They thought it was ass, even though from a technical and graphical perspective, it was beautiful, perfect.
Okay,
beautiful.
Cool. I'm glad you brought up Halo 5 because I want to stop this nonsense goddamn now.
Indeed, okay, yes. And then we'll transition.
People keep pretending, and I've had to sit through this bullshit for a year.
A long time. Yeah.
343 doesn't know what they're doing and doesn't. I'm not saying they didn't have issues. Obviously, there were issues, but they put out, and I quote, right? 87 Metacritic game with Halo 4. They put out 85 Metacritic game with the Master Chief Collection. Whether you want to give them credit for that or not, you can ignore it if you want to. And then they put out Halo 5, which hit 84. Any other studio, if Insomniac put out a game that was an 84 and an 87, or Sucker Punch did it, or Sony Santa Monica did those numbers, you would say that's a great studio.
Yeah, that would be
But
technical.
all of a sudden, 343 is trash, and they should be replaced. And give Halo back to Bungie. What has Bungie done since Halo that has been as great? If we're talking about Metacritic.
And which Halo was the best? I would say Halo 2 was the best, which in all reality, Halo 2 was the most complex. It was almost about to be just tore apart and canceled. It was so much turmoil about Halo 2 back then that I mean, a lot of people don't know that, and that the game was going to get canceled because they just couldn't see eye to eye. And then, to me, that is the best story out of the Halo universe. And then also the fact that at that time, a lot of people hated the Arbiter. They couldn't stand the Arbiter.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Sure.
The Arbiter.
But I love Keith David, man. I thought he was great.
I loved it.
I think that's what Halo 5 suffered from, though, right? Because I remember playing Halo 2 like he's the enemy. I don't want to play as this guy. The story's interesting, but when can I get back to Chief? And that's what I felt like the entire time I was playing Halo 5. Like, Locke is great. I'm interested. I watched the Nightfall movie. I listened to all the podcasts, right? But I want to play as Chief. I really feel like the sentiment around Locke would be different if they gave him a Reach or ODST type of game before or after Halo 5, and then you put them against each other when people could come to stand with Locke on his own, right? Yeah, if people have been waiting so long to get back to Chief and they grew up with Chief, and you're saying this is the guy trying to catch Chief, when I watch the Cops and Robbers movie, I'm rooting for the robbers, right? So it is like, I didn't want, like, you cannot go into a story knowing that you don't want your protagonist to succeed, right? And that's the ask with Locke. Like, they're saying, play as this guy. He is trying to stop, and he's trying to stop Chief, but you know and love Chief, so you automatically don't like him and you don't want him to succeed in his mission. And with Chief, I want him to succeed, and they keep taking me away from his mission.
Yeah, they basically primed the pump for you to dislike him.
Exactly.
Right. That the messaging was absolutely ridiculous. That was on Microsoft. That was on that staff. Bonnie Ross and them. They were way off with that because of what they with the advertisements and things like that. Like, and the only time that you got anything from Locke was when you played the Master Chief Collection and you went into the Halo channel and you seen some clips of him talking to the Arbiter and saying, "Oh, you hunting, 117?" You know what I'm saying? So he's my friend. I'm not going to rat him out. And then it just comes in and it builds this suspense of like, okay, who is this guy, right? Like, for the people that are like, who is this Locke guy? And if you ever read the books, you only know about him briefly about him in Oni, about him being a part of Oni, and then him getting to that program. Which, if people know anything about Oni is like the Navy. And they do a lot of shady things. And
they are the upper echelon of the UNSC. They're the one that do the wet work.
Yeah, they do the wet work. You know what I'm saying? So for this guy to come out, then you already got 2 strikes against him. When you got the advertisement, plus you got he's coming from Oni. He doesn't look like a normal Spartan, so he looks like he would be more like a villain. Then you come and then you just bring Halo 5. If they just called it. And then even like at the E3 when they showed Halo 5, they didn't show anything of Locke. They just showed Chief walking in the sand with that cloak on or whatever, and then he opens his hands up, and then you see that big Guardian pop out of the sand. That just, and you say Halo 5, that right there gives the indication that this is supposed to be Chief's game. And then when you play majority of Locke and Team Osiris, then that already sets the tone, and then the hate mongering, and plus if we go a little bit deeper into that, I'm gonna let you guys do it first, but
Because Locke was a black dude, and they didn't want to see a black guy replace the Great White Hope.
Absolutely. Let's talk about it.
Drop it like it's slanderous. Go ahead.
So that was the thing, right? So, I made a video talking about it a couple of years back, and I was talking about like, why do people hate Locke so much? Mm-hmm. And I got a lot of hate. That was probably one of my my biggest disliked videos, next to me saying Persona was niche, but it was still a great game. Those two videos got the most dislikes, and because I was just being honest, like they would say these certain keywords, like, again, he's not Cole, he's not this. I like Cole. Well, why do you like Cole? Because Cole is funny. Cole is
not in a leadership position.
Right. He's not a leader.
He's always there for the comic relief.
Right. Like I mean, this is what you said. So I love Kevin Hart, but I can't like The Rock.
Mm-hmm. There you go. That's right.
Or it's just kind of like the Idris Elba situation with when they was talking about that he might replace Daniel Craig, and then what kind of shitstorm that caused. Like that's the same, 100%. That's the same
energy.
I look at the same what I seen with Locke. Like there were people out there, not saying that everybody was racist. I mean, because the story itself should have been more developed. There's no doubt about that. But
but there was a lot of that in the middle of it too. You're absolutely right. A lot of that was in the middle.
But there was a lot of mix-ups. But when you look at this protagonist and then you try to compare it, and when people say, well, we don't want this, and then I had to get away from a couple of sites because they were showing Chief, they were doing animations where Chief was getting kicked, locked in the nuts, and then they was just like, oh, let him die and all this. I'm like, listen, you're letting that shit come out because you don't want this black man to be the face of anything in your white utopia. That when it comes to Halo. And that to me pissed me off because I'm like, I have been playing as white protagonists, as women, as Japanese protagonists. As
not complaining at all. Yeah. And then God forbid one of them.
And for the most part, we should say 343 has also been pretty good about it, right? They've also, if you look at it, I put a tweet out a while ago that got a lot of attraction. There's been a lot of very good, prominent, non-white characters on in Halo, and they've been consistent.
Yeah,
even now,
they definitely killed Sergeant Johnson, so it's going to be a bad look.
Right,
Sergeant Johnson. Let's not start Sergeant. He was my favorite character. Let's not start.
They would say, "Oh, I love Johnson." Well, Johnson is dead. You know what I'm saying? So you can't bring any more black protagonists. Listen, I get that you feel that you might love Master Chief, and that's fine. I love Master Chief too. But for a series of this magnitude, you have to progress. Chief can't be the only face of this game. This isn't Mario. This isn't Sonic.
Well,
this is Halo, and there's a bunch of Halo rings.
Let me add on to that point, though. Right? Yep. I don't think the answer though is to replace Chief. You don't have to do unless Chief dies, but for some narrative reason. It is
10-year cycle. I think this is it.
It is the universe itself with all the lore that backs it up is large enough to sustain two protagonists. If you're unnecessarily limiting the scope of the franchise if you center it all around Chief.
That's right. That's basically what Star Wars does with the
goddamn Skywalkers. Don't get me started. Yes. It's going to turn into a Star Wars show.
Same thing they do. That's what they do, and it's terrible. Yes,
but I absolutely think you can have another set of games, or again, Slow-Mo mentioned this earlier. Maybe you bring Locke in the next story update, because that's how they're going to do like episodes of this thing, and we will follow him and see what was going on with him the whole time. Yeah, but this one's about Chief, and I'd be okay with that. But I think you can have Chief games, and I think you can have Locke games, and we'd all be the better for it.
And you can have ODST games where every character is a nobody that you created, that they're ODSTs, and have a great game of it.
But I think that's what they're gonna do with this
that's definitely
multiplayer.
That's definitely
with the multiplayer season.
That's definitely that's definitely what they're going to do with the seasons on the multiplayer. But in the stories, they're going to do that. I think that Locke will get a cameo, because I think Because if you played Halo 5, and I'm just going to say the ending because I mean it's been 5 years from now. If you didn't want to play it, you just
I don't even really think it had like an ending like that too. You just see Halsey and she's like, it's about time.
Yeah.
Well, you're rude.
Well, no, I know.
I love Halsey, man. She's boss. I love her so much.
Take your other arm off.
But Locke saved Chief and Blue Team. So
yes, that's true.
So I think once Chief wakes up and then he sees that like, whoa, what the hell just happened? What happened to Team Osiris? And then he's going to go back and I think he's going to try to find them because that was the last group that he's seen before Halo, before and then the Arbiter and all them. Like, what the hell happened? And so I think Locke is going to get his appearance and he's going to get his ass beat by Hyperion. And that's why you see the little Lego toy with his helmet on his arm. Yeah. Right. And I think that he's going to be caught captive or he's going to get beat up to the point to where he had to get saved by Team Osiris or by Palmer or by the Arbiter.
Talk about it, Pixel.
The homie Pixel dropping science over there. Halsey kidnapped kids, so yeah, she's rude.
Right. Like she's real rude. So
just a little.
And so I think that he'll get his cameo. I think Chief is going to go try to. That was maybe the first part of the mission where he's going to try to see if he can try to find other Spartans, but he's going to try to find. He'll find out about Locke or whatever, and then try to go see if he can save him or whatever.
All right. Mm-hmm.
And then go from there. But I do think that that's all you're going to get. This is all dedicated to Chief, and I'm absolutely fine with that. That is fine. But the DLCs, they definitely have to start going a little bit deeper. They got to talk about Red Team, the Spirit of Fire, how they're going to come back into this situation. They got to talk about Team Osiris. They got to talk about Team Taurus. They got to talk about the Orange Team. They got to talk about all.
Man, I hope you're right, bro.
The Shadow Team.
Right.
They got to implement in order to try to make this universe bigger than just Chief and the Cortana situation. They have to implement all the. I said Orange Team. My bad. I meant Team Taurus and I meant Shadow Team. There's no Orange Team. I'm over thinking about the Mandarin. And so
run him over. Oh, you didn't run him.
No, I killed
your video.
But they have no choice but to do that in order for them to get further away from the Chief Cortana saga. I think this is the end of their saga.
No, I agree with you. I completely agree with you, KMEGA.
It's gonna be a 10-year end,
right.
But yeah.
And just like they put the man on ice, you can easily put him on ice to potentially thaw him out for a future adventure. But in the meantime, hey, we're getting this game, we're getting that game, maybe more co-op focused games where he can be allowed, his lineage can be allowed to rest while new stories are built in that universe. I'm there with you, but what to close up this Halo talk, I will take, at least for now, because we're about to go back into unless this weekend ends without big team battle, I'll be very upset. Everborn, we got to get in on that. You and me, we got to do the big team battle.
Yeah. I'll be in there. I was working my way up with the bot AI before I came to.
And I will take back some of my slander and say that hey, the bots are actually more capable than they ever were the last time. So yes, they do give a fun challenge. I think even Slow-Mo said that in the chat that they used to be food in the last one. Oh yeah, this dude gets me. Check this out. There used to be food in the last one, but in this one they give you a pretty good challenge. So I appreciate it. But I think we can all agree that Halo is back, man. The multiplayer is wow.
Only one request. I think the grapple should be unlimited. I don't think it should be limited to the 5 shot.
Me too. And I think that when they do Forge, the grapple should be dual wieldy and unlimited if necessary. We want Spider-Man and melee only.
Because that when you run out, it's like I don't know the game. I always feel like less excited when I have no more grapple shots, and I'm like I gotta die so I can get him back.
The homie OBM got your back. He'll carry you. Don't worry about it.
And listen, anyway. I know we don't want to copy other games, but I think Halo Infinite needs raids. I think. Well, I think it does.
That'll happen, man. I think they're very much diversifying and heading in that Destiny direction. There's a lot of signs that point that way. We don't know for sure, but it looks like it's heading that way. Like as soon as I saw the little AI robots that like go with you and you hold them in your hand. I'm like, yo, this is so much Ghost-like. It's amazing. It really looks like they're heading in that direction. I hope we do get some of that.
Slow-mo makes an interesting point. He says unlimited grapple will upset the balance.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
It won't be for every mode.
That's the thing, though. He may be right because everyone will be sliding everywhere, and you won't get a chance.
But that's my point.
So
that's my point. That's why
now I'm very selective.
It in like Forge or something.
Yeah,
you want it in like Forge or something, right? So there's a creative mode where that craziness can happen. It can't be everywhere. You know?
I'm very selective with when I use it. Right, because that limited amount. So I can see that. That's why people aren't like swinging all over the place, because you got to use it only at the right time.
Yeah, but seriously though,
5 is not
Forge.
enough. Forge. Give me 10. Just give me 10.
Forge be in the spot. Forge can break those rules and have specific levels just for that crazy creative fun. We've already started seeing it with people Spider-Manning all over the place. I'm sure Forge will kick it into high gear. And we know the 343 is eyeballing all this stuff. They're seeing what people are doing. I think they will lean into that creativity more. I'm pretty confident that they're paying attention to that. So let's transition a bit away more from this Halo stuff and let's speak about a few other topics. We're about an hour 15 in, and we're all Halo all the time. I'm pretty sure we're gonna still transition back into some Halo.
Y'all talk about Halo a little bit too much because y'all ain't talking about the Earth. Okay.
Seriously, bro, you need to get in contact with them, man. They might need your vocal stylings for the next one.
Man, sure. I'm gonna be calling KMEGA when we finally get the Everborn anime up and running, man.
That's right. Maybe you need a character to play that. You got it. Oh, and we got TK Cole up in the spot. How you doing, bro? It's been a bit. We haven't seen you in here.
TK Cole, the Batman apologist. Good morning, sir.
So okay, so we will transition a bit to some of the week's news. I'll put some more. We're still playing some Halo stuff. I think I have some more footage. I think I'll also throw some Deathloop footage into this thing too when it's done. Nice. Anyway, so I wanted to touch on a few topics. You can't hear the planet crying.
I can hear the planet crying. Man. That's what I'm trying to tell him.
Oh, that line was just terrible. Okay, what the hell are we talking about here?
One dude on the train.
He started fighting for no reason. I'm like, I would have been
like, what?
I would have been like, what's wrong with this crazy angry black dude just over here, just getting angry because the planet's angry?
That was another reason why I got pissed off about. I'm like, oh, angry black man on the train,
on the train for no reason, yelling at people.
Everybody look at him like he's a damn fool. He's over here,
and he is a damn fool.
A damn fool. Anyway,
hey, by the way, Cole, if you are so inclined this weekend, you got to join me and Kay Sante in this big team battle thing too.
Indeed. Oh, and shout out to Gerald Mack. He joined us.
12 people, man. You can join.
It's 12 people. That's right.
I know One Bad Mother's going to be joining us tonight. There's no doubt about it.
Let us squad up, gentlemen. Let us do it. 12 people. Come on. Yeah, we could do this. It'd be mad fun.
I'm just waiting for my wife to go get her hair braided,
and get then her did, and you gonna have some time for yourself. I hear you, bro. I hear you. But okay, so let us transition to some more of the general topics. So there's a few things that I would like to discuss, as well as one of the really interesting topics that blew up on social this week that I kind of want to touch on before we get out of here, right? So first off, a few dribs and drabs that I thought were interesting that I did send you guys some pieces to take a look at if you're interested. Have y'all ever heard of this thing called BlueStack X? It's been around for a little while. It gives you the ability to install Android games on Windows machines. It was like this emulation app, if you will.
Yes.
And they recently announced. Go ahead.
No, and sort of Microsoft is kind of building that tech into Windows 11.
Well, so we're going there. Yeah,
a version
recently
of that
announced. Tech. Yes, but they're using more they're using a fork from Amazon. They're using a fork from Amazon, and the tech is based off Intel's framework, which is very strange. All not including Google.
BlueStacks is using that, or Microsoft is using that.
Microsoft is using that. They're using an Amazon fork based off of Intel Bridge technology, which is just so effing strange when you could just be contact Google and y'all can work together on it.
Yeah,
but
Google
ain't down like that. So
Google
they went another way.
But I mean, you got to be
reason,
just real quick though. Like the Windows subsystem for Linux took a while to get like smooth.
Oh yeah.
So I think you got to give this sort of a same.
The first iteration is gonna be dog shit. I know, yes, but the fact that they're even heading down this direction is very admirable, and I think it's cool. The reason I bring it up is because in a gaming context, it brings some very interesting butterfly effects, if you will, for this. So what they've announced, and I'll put all this stuff in the show notes if you guys want to check it out in more detail. What they've announced is they're releasing this thing called BlueStack X, which is and Beast Mode is out there giving us some real science on the
Cole, is that a reference to Spider-Man? Who is Cole? Don't highlight that. But who is Cole referencing in that with that?
Oh yeah, well. I will leave y'all to fight that slanderous conversation in the chat. I see what he's saying there. I'll leave that alone. But basically, the reason why I bring this up is because now they're in beta, but now you can run Android apps and games from a browser. Okay? And so far, the ones that have been worked on have worked pretty flawlessly. They're slowly but surely like transitioning into letting it just be any Android things that are out there. The reason I bring this up, which is it's fun for those who want to use it, you can run this in the Edge browser on Xbox, and it's been tested. And I think I saw Tom Warren jump on there and test a few of that as well. But because of that, now if you think about it, you can run Steam, you can run GOG, you can run GeForce Now, you can run any of this stuff, like all of this stuff, all through an Xbox Series S, heck, through an Xbox Xbox One VCR. You can run all of that, including, obviously, Game Pass and all of that. So it is becoming this one-stop shop for all things streaming services. They don't care. I've tested Luna on there. Luna works great. I've tested Stadia on there. Stadia works great.
Nadella's Microsoft is just like, it's so
very good. Well pointed out. Nadella's Microsoft. Yep. Very true. Very true.
Would have never on that. No, because look, there was a long time, believe it or not, where Microsoft for some reason saw the popularity of the iPhone and iPad and would not put their Office apps on there because they thought it was some sort of competitive advantage to lead people.
Remember, I've said this to you before, Everborn. They first try to beat the platform, and then they get to a place where they realize that, this platform is too ingrained. We have to work with them. Look at Twitch.
No. But
look at iOS. All of this happens.
Further still, I just look at Nadella like kind of Xerxes, right? You know, when the Persian Empire was kind of taking over the world, and they were like,
just pay a little fealty, and let's let you
exactly
be
just bread and water, right? Right. So if you look at what they've done between Visual Studio Code, right, between GitHub, between just everybody's work data with LinkedIn.
Bro,
right?
any console is a dev kit. Just turn it on. I've been using it myself for weeks and months. Yeah, it's crazy what they're doing now.
Linux and Windows, they're just basically making themselves indisposable without you even realizes that they have surrounded you and the arrows are trained on you, right? Yep. So this move with the browser, I think, lends more credence to that the openness that Nadella is moving for. I think in the next, I don't want to put a time frame on it, but we'll see it in our lifetimes that Windows just goes full open source. I don't know.
That's already been talked about. That's already been talked about. Yeah,
might be. Yeah, there is a world there as long as they can monetize it some way where their services can be on top and can still like make the money they're making. They don't care about throwing the OS out there like that.
If you remember, this was right before that. Well, this is when Nadella came in, and they were talking about that they was going to make this new, different type of Microsoft, And they were already, once the one person, I can't remember his name, that was a part of Windows, once he left,
Steve Meyerson,
Yeah.
Terry Meyerson.
Yep, that's him. And so once he left, then that's when the whole strategy about Windows went out the window, because of the fact that there was a poll I posted.
Did you get it there?
I see what he did. I just let that slide.
You let that slide? Okay, yeah. Anyway, so there was a poll that came up that showed that at that year, I think it was 2016, 2017, somewhere around there, that Xbox did better. And remember, Xbox One was like, the lower standard of everything to a lot of people. And it outperformed Windows. That was big. That was really big. So then that's when they started talking about, I think it was in 2017, where they were saying that their idea is 2017, 2018, when they were saying that they were thinking about going open source with Windows, because Azure has been taking off leaps and bounds. That's why they're all in with what they're doing with this cloud-based stuff. And they know that it's the future. So it is. I almost think that it's inevitable, and that's the one thing you got to look at it with Microsoft now, and especially with Xbox. What is more dangerous? Somebody that comes around being aggressive, coming at you, getting in your face, telling you that we're going to take everything over, like Tencent, pretty much, or someone who is nice, in your face. Hey, we just want to help. We're just here.
While actually taking everything over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Making it undeniable for you to use all of their services.
Right. By the time that you look, it's too late. You got to look, and you're already mentally dead. It's just the whole thing when people try to talk about when they thought that they were making a joke about,
billions of consumers.
Game Pass is going to come to PlayStation. I can't wait. The day that do happen, if that happens, then you know where Sony is going. Sony is going to be gobbled right up and be a part of Microsoft.
And you know what? It's really funny you say this because, like, as you're saying that, like, a lot of people are like laughing at them. Do you know what you see a lot of in the last, I'd say, 3 days? And I've been keeping an eye on the Twitter streets. A lot of like Japanese folks who are getting their new Series X's or Series S's, mostly Series S's, and you see them Game Pass cloud streaming with the PS5 controller, right? A bunch of them. I'm like, yo, there's a narrative building here. It's very interesting.
What's more dangerous? That person spent that $70 to show to try to be funny, to say, oh, I can play my PlayStation games. I mean, I can play these Xbox games on my PlayStation controller for $70, but you're wrapped up into Xbox ecosystem.
That's right.
You're not nowhere near PlayStation's ecosystem, and that's where they make their money off of. Is off of their PSN accounts and off of everything being a part of their ecosystem, buying their games off that platform. So if you're going in and investing in Game Pass and play and all you did was all you had to show for Sony was that you supported a $70 controller, good luck. Because that's right there at the beginning of the end about the beginning of the end. So playing a nice guy sometimes does not always end up last.
Yeah,
watch out for that.
No, I think it's very interesting. Go ahead, Everborn, please speak.
Yeah, the thing to understand is sometimes being the nice guy is the tactic.
Right.
Oh, it's a very shrewd tactic. Yep.
Yeah.
Because you basically lull people to sleep. Right, all of this
disarm them with your charm, while you're in the back making moves.
I do it in half the spaces I'm in.
You do. Yes, you do. I'll admit it. Yes, you do. You got there with the agenda, and most people don't even know it. I agree with you for sure. But okay, I appreciate this. I wanted to bring this specific topic up because this really like tickled my geek brain, and I'm loving it, and I can't wait to start poking around with this thing. But it like I said, like we've discussed, this has ramifications that are really, really going to be far-reaching. So I'm interested to check this out. On a side note, I'm thinking of possibly doing some. This is the kind of stuff that I really enjoy doing. Making tech do weird things that you might not have thought about when you were buying your console or whatever. So you might see me on this channel, possibly, showing some of that stuff off more and more as we go along. But I thought it was interesting to bring up just to show, this weird little Android app that now can play. So you can technically, well, they haven't officially released it yet because the beta version doesn't have it, but at some point you'll be able to play Genshin Impact on Xbox through a browser, even though the game doesn't support Xbox. That's the world we live in today, kind of crazy. But okay, let's move on to the next little quick hit topic. And I brought this up, and y'all know why.
I do have one small topic.
Please speak.
I don't know if you were around when there were a lot of guys poo-pooing all over the Ascent.
Of course.
Right. And now even though the developer says we have nothing to announce now, stay tuned for future. We hear you, PlayStation fans. Now everybody's like, I can't wait to play it.
Oh, what? Because the Ascent is now coming to PlayStation?
They didn't say that it was coming. They just said, stay tuned here for any future announcement.
Okay.
But they have nothing to announce today.
Well, so again, but let's not give oxygen to those with ridiculous, naked, sad agendas. Let's just move on with all of that,
Yeah, because the Ascent is a fantastic game. It is great.
100%. Yes.
I'm just glad. I'm just glad we're in a place where people can actually recognize that. That's all I'm saying. I'm glad people caught up. That's all.
The people who are gamers, who are just about the games, who enjoy the games, they didn't have to be convinced from day one. They've already been there. They've been there. And those who need convincing, and those who are saying that now, we know what you all were trying to do back in the day. We're just not even going to acknowledge that stuff with. We're not gonna speak on it as if you were genuinely having a problem. We all know that there was something else going on there. But okay, so I want to talk about the rumor and speculation that's been going on for a while now, but now more and more credence is being lent to it that Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Definitive Edition is coming out. They have there's ratings boards happening. There's a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of back and forth that speaks to the idea that, hey, GTA is actually coming. Now, I bring this up because
boo. Oh, sorry.
Because we've played GTA in a billion different forms, right? They are throwing GTA at you at all manners of time. Recently, well, not recently, a little while ago, Epic Games gave away GTA 5 for free, and still to this day, that game is on everyone's sellout list every single month. So, how do we think about GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition? Are we excited? Are we enthused? Or does this thing need to go the way of what do you call it? Skyrim, where every time it comes out, we make more jokes about it. Now, I know Everborn, you shared some interesting information about your history with GTA. Maybe you can get started and you can tell me what you think about the story.
I do not care about this in the slightest.
But why?
I would like to see a GTA 6, which I will actually play. Fun fact, I've never played GTA 5.
Or 4.
Just 3. 3 was the last GTA I played.
See, honestly, me personally, when I heard that blew my mind. Wow. Because GTA 5, oh yeah, and that's me dropping grenades like an idiot. GTA 5 is as I said to you when you said this to me, it's catcher in the rye of gaming. You need to play it. It is a required reading. It is required reading. GTA 5 specifically. Screw the online. You can like it, you cannot like it. It's a beast in and of itself, true. But the campaign alone is required reading. Now, for those of us who've played all the GTAs, yes, this is yawn. As Beast Mode has said, it is yawn because it's another GTA. How many times are they going to give us that same one over and over again? But if you've never touched GTA, the last GTA you experienced was GTA 3, bro. I will gift it to you, brother man. I need you to play GTA 5.
I don't want it, sir. I'm not listen, I'm really not into open world games in general. Like Spider-Man made it work because of the traversal, swinging, yes. and The Witcher. I was just so captured in the story, and I'm also a huge sword and sandals kind of guy. So you give me that Game of Thrones type of stuff, I'm there. I don't really care about going on 1,000 fetch quests and.
But it's not that way though. Okay. See, that's the thing. I think when it comes to that. I think you're kind of using old historical information to incorrectly inform yourself now. They have matured that formula tremendously since GTA 3.
What is the gameplay loop for GTA 5?
GTA 5, there's a lot of, it's like a story that you're following. It's not that go here, fetch quest, go there, fetch quest. It's not that anymore. It's literally a very cinematic
throw in a
experience.
drag race in between the fetch quests. I apologize.
It's a very cinematic experience, bro. Seriously, they've come a long way since then.
Acting
I mean, KMEGA, please.
Amazing. Yeah, the voice acting is amazing. And listen, this is what was really wild to me, because right off at the very beginning, when the thing starts off, the music is slapping, and I'm like, oh, and you on the beach, and then it comes right in here, and then of course you're like, oh no, here comes the crazy, black protagonist that's a thug, but the voice acting was so damn good, and then it brought in a different element of just like real life in a sense, but then of course it goes over the top with getting involved into these crazy heists and things like that. But they didn't. But the characters themselves are worth watching. Because once you get towards the guy that's having the problem that's with money, I forget he's kind of pretty much like the main, not the main guy, but secondary guy. Once you get to the crazy dude, like then it's Trevor, like it's wild, it's fun. It's, what I'm saying? It's just one of those games that you could just get into, play, enjoy the story. Yeah, you're going to do these things, do that things, but it's all tied into the story. Other like fetch quest stuff, you don't have to do. You could just play the story and just
the main story is always more interesting than the ridiculous side fetch quest this and that.
Right. Like, and that's the one thing about it that I appreciated, because I love the way Take-Two does their games, especially like with Red Dead Redemption. I love the way that story was. I loved how that game played. And you can go through that without doing those fetch quests as well. So I agree with Kay, man. Like it's
Ron be like time on that GTA talk.
Yeah. But no, it's really, but no, I would say give it a shot. The multiplayer.
No, yeah, I agree. I agree.
Into the multiplayer,
I'm looking for the Bugs Bunny meme right now where he says no.
Okay. What I will say, I'll say to move on.
I just went and made a coffee while y'all were talking about it. That's how I care about GTA 5.
To move on from this topic, all I will say is, much like how some films and some books are required reading for the genre because they move the whole like genre forward, I think GTA is in that conversation.
Right.
It is absolutely really important. Like some of the stories, some of the choices they make, I don't agree with. Some of it is just ridiculous and all of that. Their politics is weird. I have issues with some of it. True. I really didn't like GTA 4. My homie who was here. You hated it? Me too. I did not like Nico Bellic one bit. My homie Marshano Loon, who was on this show, developer Marshano Loon, he is all about GTA 4. He lives for that game. He actually wanted to buy an old school Xbox just so he could play it again. He wasn't sure if because I don't think it's not on back compat. But anyway, people love that. I think GTA 5 is required. It's required, like, if you are going to be in the gaming space and really want to, know our history, kind of like Zelda's required. I think GTA 5 is as well. But for those who are,
is though that Zelda is good. Sorry,
stop it. You have no right to say that because you haven't played it.
You haven't played Zelda either?
He hasn't played GTA. He hasn't played GTA, so he doesn't know.
I may have played every Zelda.
Okay.
Yeah, he's big on Zelda.
What's going on here?
But I guess my point is,
he was about to pull my gamer card.
I was like, what?
I'm pulling your gamer card now. I'm pulling your gamer card now. But I do understand those who have a problem with it, because there are people who tried it and just the dialogue and what they're trying to say about America and all of that stuff. It's just grating. It really is. So maybe that is understandable. But I thought it was interesting that once again, they're coming out again being like, oh, here we go. Another GTA. You're going to buy it. I bet you that thing is going to be sold out. Like, I bet you it is, because GTA just is what it is. But all right, let's move on.
I want to say this, though, before you go, is that another thing, too, is that it is one of the last games that just doesn't give a damn. Like if you are kind of nervous about where gaming is going, where they're trying to be politically correct, that game is
that game throws it to the wall. Yes, indeed.
The very first damn mission where you go film, like when you go hide in the bushes and go tape the you take pictures of old girl getting knocked off by her like pool boy or something like that. Like right there, it's already jumping off.
That set the standard for you, let you know what you're about to be in for. Yes, yes.
What? Okay.
And Fuzzy drops a very, very interesting thing here. You know, every time they re-release GTA 5, they add something extra. Oh, we added this, we added that. Last time they added first-person mode, right? Which made it a little bit more interesting. What if they add
first-person mode in the Ascent?
Yes, they do. What if they add a full co-op? So because it's basically a co-op game, but you're playing it solo, right? Switching between them. What if they give you the opportunity to actually play them as different characters? Man, that would be special. I honestly think that would really make me want to replay that game. Besides that, though, I'm done with it.
They should do it in GTA 6, and I'll try it then.
If we ever get GTA 6, but that's neither here nor there. Moving on to the next bit of conversation, as far as all the remake remaster talk. There is rumor and speculation. Well, I wouldn't really call it rumor and speculation now that it came up during the Tokyo Game Show conversations and whatnot, that Konami is working on new Metal Gear and Silent Hill and Castlevania games, remakes, remasters, and they're doing it with internal teams. What do you guys think about that? I'll start with you, KMEGA. What's your experience with Konami and Metal Gear and all of that? Are you excited for this, or is this like, please stop?
No. I love this. Okay. The last Castlevania games, I thought they were fantastic. To see them coming back and bringing that game back, or going back to their roots and bringing back the original. I think that's special. Silent Hill. I used to be really big into scary games, but at some point it just changed. I guess I got older, things got just real. I don't know, but
he's like, man, I got kids.
Right.
Got time for this shit.
Well, no, I mean, I had kids for a while, but I was just something just switched.
Something switched, and all of a sudden it's serious now.
Right,
I'm the same way.
Yeah, like when I jumped on Resident Evil 7. I said, oh hell no, I'm done. I can't do it no more. I'm through. And so, but I'm happy for Silent Hill because I used to be really, really big into Silent Hill. So that would be great. And then just for Metal Gear.
Real quick, I appreciate Beast Mode in the chat just dropping slanderous remark after another. First off, lulls with the internal teams. They just have to go find those internal teams. The same team that did Metal Gear Survive.
No. Konami's gonna have Crystal Dynamics do it.
Oh,
but see, I think that Disney has kind of started something that that I think maybe other publishers might do. If they don't have like those internal teams, then they could just branch out. Like if for the rumors about Silent Hill being done by a PlayStation publisher. I mean, a PlayStation
even
studio,
Bloober started also going back and forth about potentially having a Silent Hill project. Bloober team.
Oh yeah, Bloober team.
Okay, so the rumor from I'm trying to think of who brought this new rumor out, that they said that Konami is making Silent Hill, a Kojima production game,
with Silent
Hill funded by Sony.
Yep.
How much do you believe that?
Not at all.
Not one bit.
Not at all. Because the whole PT thing is what kept people doing that, right? Because PT was a thing that was Silent Hill adjacent, and because of that,
I swear to God, if they try to somehow turn this back around to abandon, I'm gonna lose my shit.
People are trying to, they're trying to thread that needle. I don't agree with it. I don't think it. I want to see you flip your desk. That'd be interesting. I don't think that's even remotely in the cards. I don't know.
No, me neither. I think abandoned should be just thrown.
Should be that abandoned.
Yeah, abandoned. So I personally. I think that this is really good, and they can go through different studios to do anything, to do all types of work. So I think this is a really good look for Konami. I really do hope that they can bring back other great classics like Bloody Roar.
Oh man,
yeah, like so. I mean that I would love to see Konami come back. I mean, I don't know if you guys seen it, but I seen something last night where they was showing where Acclaim saying that they're bad.
Yeah, so, I saw that. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, I was immediately excited, but then I remembered that what do you call it? What's the other game? The other game company, the old school game company that also came back recently, that made a console, quote unquote. Atari. You know, Atari also came back, and that did not work out so well. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I will be cautiously optimistic. Right. They no longer have Mortal Kombat, so what do they have to offer me?
Well, they got and they don't have Turok, I don't think anymore.
There you go.
Yeah, so
what do they have to offer me? We shall see. But I did see that too. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so no, I think it's a really good look. I want them to they've been holding on to these IPs for years. It's time for them. I think that they now realize that there's a demand for it. So if the games are good,
I'm just worried that the Konami's a little out of touch, man. Like they released Metal Gear Survive, and they thought people would like that, you know. And I'm just like, you didn't know that was gonna drop like a stone? Like that's just weird, bro.
I think that they were trying to just kind of throw that jab. It's a little Brady against Belichick type of vibe.
Sure. Okay.
So yeah,
okay, I see that. Okay, so maybe they had an ulterior motive on that.
Right. I think they just kind of threw that out because I think that was something that they were going to work on a sequel, and then Kojima bailed out, and then all.
So they just went, okay, slap it together. Let's just give something out there.
Right.
Understood. Right, okay, right. I can see that. Yeah, that's the only piece of the puzzle that makes me a little less enthused about this, because their last outing did not fill me with too much confidence. I just hope that they take a more serious approach with all of this. You know, we shall see. So let's move on and get more into more good topics. There's two more that I want to talk on before we get to the big story, and then we end this, right? So the Game Awards. Keeley came out on Twitter. Yes. Gabo wants to talk Twisted Metal. We can talk Twisted Metal if we have a little time. We can talk Twisted Metal as well. Mm-hmm. The Game Awards came out. Jeff Keighley tweeted out that September 9th is when it's coming out. It'll be a full audience like it used to be. So there's that, right?
Wait, what do you mean September 9th? We're in October.
December. I apologize. Okay. December 9th. Yes. It'll be a few days before my birthday. Not a few days, but close to my birthday. And full audience, which is in and of itself is a different thing. And of course, when that news came out, rumor and speculation, I think even Grubb spoke on it, that there is high likelihood that we will see the second showing of Hellblade 2 at this show. So let's start with you this time, Mr. Everborn Saga. What do you make of all this? Are you excited for the next Keeley outing, Hellblade? Where are we at with it?
I mean, I want to be excited, but I don't feel. I mean, apart from revealing the Series X, I don't feel like any of the Keeley outings that Microsoft has sort of done have really worked in their favor when you're talking about positive benefit, like in the back end. So it's like we can get excited and we can say this is where they're going to announce that they acquired, the world, and this is where they're going to This is where they're going to give us the real Game Pass numbers of 50 million, and this is where it's probably not going to happen. Just judging by the past, so. Whatever happens, sure, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. And I don't know how soon, because the next time you see Hellblade, it has to be a vertical slice, right? Mm-hmm. And we only heard
it has to be a looker. It has to really there has to be a controller in hand to show you something.
We are only a couple of months away, like June it was, where they said that they were just building the vertical slice, and they're not even into full production yet. So that's crazy. But if they're building that vertical slice, were they able to build that in 3 months to be able to show it? Not 3 months, but like 4 or 5 months to be able to show it in December.
And just a quick aside, there was rumor and speculation that this was bumped out of the E3 the recent E3 showing. There was a potential show that they could have shown, and last minute it was bumped off. So there was something to show even then, and now presumably they're pushing it to having it be available for the Keeley show. So are you worried? Are you excited? Is this?
I'm not worried and I'm not excited. I just don't put any weight into a Keeley show as it relates to Microsoft. It hasn't worked out in the past.
Yeah,
people say that the Series X reveal was like they almost had to hide that from him.
From him, yeah,
right,
yeah.
So like, barring that, like, I don't know. I don't know that it makes sense to expect that.
Yeah, I get that. What are your thoughts there, KMEGA?
I'm a little bit. I'm gonna have a little different opinion on this because I felt that was the defining moment right there. Now, when it comes to Jeff Keighley and how he operates with Microsoft, is a little shady acting. There's no doubt. I mean, especially that was the whole reason why Xbox moved their venue to the Microsoft Center because he was those leaks that just came out right before the 2018 E3 that kind of killed the buzz. But the VGAs is the biggest show in town around that time. And there was no doubt that the reveal of the Series X and what they did in showing Hellblade, that rocked the gaming world. That was huge. And since that is the biggest venue that's there, that will, because I mean, let's just say that Xbox would do XO again. Well, XO is still not going to get as many eyes as the VGAs will. True, yeah. So it is that is the perfect venue to talk about something big, but not to go into full detail. Just throw a clip it or some kind of something, and then keep it moving. That's why I think that it would work, and I do feel that whatever that they was going to bring to E3, that's already been put together and worked on to where it's ready for the VGAs, and so they can give people, so they can have that already working under their belt, and I feel like if they have that, they show that, and then they have another announcement about something, then I think that's going to keep that buzz, because remember that once they did that, all the goodwill and good faith of what Microsoft did for this whole entire year, despite the Xbox Live thing, because normally if the Xbox Live thing would have been talked about all year round and been kind of like a thorn in their side, but Xbox has been doing
came
so
and went
good.
real quick.
That's definitely new. That's definitely something that we would have been dealing with last gen. But now, since they had that showing at the VGAs, I think that now that good faith is going to keep rolling. I think that they found their niche.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to tell you what I think, man.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
I think the only thing we're going to see at the Game Awards is the Halo Infinite campaign reveal, because they're going to hold it off to the absolute last minute, which is this is like the day before. And they're going to say available tomorrow. And that is when they will show us all the campaign. And that is the biggest thing we can expect. And all these other things will come at separate times when Microsoft sees fit, when they have another show. But that is me being glass half empty. I hope you're right, Mr. KMEGA.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, no. Well, you know what? And I think that they will definitely show something with Halo. I think that with Halo, with the story mode, I think that they might show something, or they might do another flight around the anniversary of when the game was supposed to come out on the 5th, around the 15th of November. I
mean, they can do another flight, sure, but I'm saying specifically showing the campaign, which they're trying to polish to make sure it looks right. And so when the Halo drops on the 8th,
right?
And Keeley's show is when?
The 9th, I thought.
Okay, so it comes after. All right. So then this is a completely separate question, and I don't mean to change the subject. Mm-hmm. When do we all think 343 will show off the campaign?
In November
for Halo.
They're going to do the same thing that they did
for the 20th anniversary.
I think that they're going to do. Yeah, I think that they're going to show it then. They're going to do they're going to have the same strategy of what they did with Halo 5, which I thought. I'm not Halo 5, but Gears 5, because it was smart
it was perfect because everybody was having those same type. Remember, everybody was saying the same things. Oh, I'm a little nervous about this. We don't know anything about the story. They just showed it at E3. This is showing that that game is going to get delayed. And then what did they do? They dropped the damn one of the hottest Xbox trailers I've ever seen. They had that damn 9 Inch Nails bumping. That caught my attention to my wife, and my wife's not even gamer. She's like, "What is that?" And then I'm like, "Damn!" And that it caused so much of a rift that PlayStation came right back and was like, "The Last of Us 2," if you remember. So I think that they'll do it around the month, because if you start showing the game now, you start showing that gameplay now, it gives plenty of time for the stands to start dissecting it and start showing everything.
Doing the 500% zooms,
zoom ins, and showing Craig's face again. Oh, look! But if you remove it here, look at it.
But here's the thing. To all of that, here's the beauty of why, like, I'm so high on the flight and happy that everybody is enjoying it. People can try that, but like, at this point, the only thing you're gonna be met with is shut your ass up, right?
Basically,
like that. Yep. That is the level of polish that we've seen, and I know they have a lot of work to do for the PC. I don't mean to come at any PC dudes, even though you was telling me PC was the greatest, and you don't need an Xbox.
Bro. And let me be clear. I played most of the footage you saw today was from PC, and yes, there were issues, but by and large, it's on deck. It's ready to go. It is on track to be good.
It has no issues.
It's a beta. You know what I'm saying?
It's a beta, exactly.
I know.
So people just need to calm down. Once we see the full like retail package of the thing and it's broken, all that smoke, I got nothing to say. But for now, keep it. Just because they're showing this to you today doesn't mean it's not like 2-3 months old. They even said that the last time.
But what my point is. Look at how Flight Sim runs. And yes, you can run it at higher specs on the PC.
Yep.
But look at how Flight Sim runs, because they can take advantage of the specific hardware and take advantage of those things. And I'm saying the Series X, there's a reason for having a closed box.
Oh yeah, right? No,
where those variables aren't there, and other things that could
I'll even do you one better. You're actually making a very good point. They recently, and actually shout out to Fun Speculation and the Ultimate Xbox Ultimate podcast. I was on there yesterday. They were kind enough to invite me on with Dealer Gaming himself, and he was speaking on this as well. Recently they did a little bit of a white paper on all the features of DirectX Ultimate and what it will bring to the box. And they're talking like a 30-40% uplift in resources, both on the Series X and S, right? And nothing has tapped into it just yet. So at some point, when you run out of running things the quote unquote normal way, right, which is how things have already been run up until now, and you start tapping into that, you will really see the benefits of these bespoke boxes, right? For now, it's just a box. They haven't tapped into a lot of those things just yet. And, theoretically, they keep coming out with them. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say case of point, Hive Busters. That's all.
Exactly. Yeah. And even Microsoft themselves have not shown you a game that shows off everything. Oh, we're using VRR here, but maybe not BC Pack. Oh, we're using something there, but maybe not the full framework of the Velocity architecture. There has not been a game yet that has really leveraged all of those things. So it'll be very interesting to see how it will grow moving forward. And to me, where I'm mostly excited about it, most interested to see what this all means is the Series S, right? Being that it is the weaker of the two, and being that everybody's already, assuming that it's gonna its usefulness will be less over time as cloud gets better.
Comes around, and
that's some opinions
comes out, which helps with the latency and can give you
that's some opinions, true. But at the end of the day, with all of this, the quote unquote hidden features packed in this thing, there will come a time where I'm pretty confident that you will be stunned at what you see on that small little thing in years to come. You'll be like, whoa, I didn't even think that this thing could still be as useful as it is now. So you're right on that. And it's actually really good that you bring that up, because the last story I want to talk about also kind of delves into that, and that can be our big topic before we close out. And that's more consolidation in this environment, consolidation in gaming. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
let me just say one thing before you transition to that.
Go ahead.
Where is your PC God now? Okay, I'm done.
What's wrong with you? Get out of here with all that BS, man. Who are you saying that to? Slow Mo? He left already.
He'll catch it on the rerun. I'm saying it for posterity.
Understood. But you'll understand why I'm threading this needle in a second. Right now, the last bit of news I want to talk about was that Sony officially announced the Blue Point Games acquisition, which obviously they blew their load pause a long time ago, but now they're officially just mentioning it. Right now, I'm bringing this up under the auspices of consolidation and all of that, because of course on the Twitter streets, of course we did hear all that, the stuff, the back and forth that happened last week, where Colin Moriarty was talking about it with his team and what they think about it, and how it will be detrimental to the gaming environment and all that. I'm not sure if you guys have all gotten a chance to see most of that. If you haven't, at some point, go ahead and take a look at it. There's some interesting conversation to be had there. I bring this up under that auspices and to speak on those bespoke boxes, because I disagree with them on that point. Because in addition to everything else we're going to be discussing about consolidation and why that may be necessary or not necessary, I think it brings up a very unique point that we seem to forget, right? Like we were just discussing, Everborn, we have these bespoke boxes that always that we're trying to wring as much energy out of it as possible, right? And for a long time now, what normals usually don't pay attention to is you'll never get the most use out of the box that you bought unless it's the game that's being developed is being developed by a first party, right? They're the ones that will use it to its fullest capability, more than any third party, because third parties have to adhere to the lowest common denominator and mostly and like port from one system to another system to another system. So even if your system has these very specialty features that would really make yours shine, they can't afford to go all the way in that direction and then go all the way in the opposite direction for PlayStation, and then go all the way in the opposite direction for Nintendo Switch or whatever else is out there, and PC porting and all of that, right? So one of the pluses of consolidation that I see that most people don't talk about is the fact that once that is more a mainstay, I see games getting more graphically intensive and more specialty. Like you'll see more Last of Us 2s, because they can do that. You know, that's where I see that going. That's one part of the puzzle that I don't think folks always talk about. What do you guys think about that? I'll start with you, KMEGA. The whole idea of, you know, why are they buying up all these studios? Why are they buying publishers? Oh, PlayStation's they bought 5. You know, all these people are buying stuff. It's ruined the industry. What is your opinion on that? That is the topic of discussion, and you know, taking into consideration this whole Blue Point Games thing. What do you think?
This is my whole thought process on it, is that it's a catch-22 overall, because if you could go back and you can look at, like, let's say Rare, and during the Don Matrix years, Rare was only used to just make Connect games. When it comes to me, it's all about management. If the people who are in management do well, then or know what they're doing, or know how to utilize their studios properly, then it's a definite benefit. But then you have those situations, like I was saying, like what they did with Rare, what they was doing with other studios within Microsoft, like with Lionhead Studios, things like that. They had the recipe the generation before or years before under different management, but then when a new management came, they had a different outlook, and then things was just dormant. The one thing that we do know, and this goes way back to, and I've said this a million times, where Amy Henny and Mark Cerny, they did an interview, and they were talking about like single player games. And remember they were talking about, like, you know, single player games, and people jumped on Phil and EA because they were saying single player games doesn't get that same type of attraction like it used to. And then, you know, the media and
fanboys went crazy over that. But in all actuality, it is true. When you look at the numbers, do single player games generate the most money, or is it multiplayer games? And everybody knows that multiplayer games are king. They dominate.
Yep, indeed.
So they had to come with a different strategy. So and then for the reason for that, when you see these single player experiences, look, for when you look at like The Last of Us 2, or for, let's just say, Uncharted 4 or something like that, there's always about maybe 100 to 200 other studios that has a single player game that doesn't get that same attention. And what happens to those studios that are independent, that, you know, are waiting to get that check because they've put all this time and dedication into it? Well, then is what we've seen last gen. A lot of studios go under. So the consolidation situation is important because it preserves these studios to have their vision, to do what they want to do. The one thing that now Microsoft was holding things under an iron fist. Now they're more transparent. They're like, no, this is your creative freedom. Do what you need to do. Sony was always kind of good with that, or on the surface it may seems to be, because now as we're looking, it seems like the roles are reversing, because Sony is the money that Sony is putting in. I think that was the whole reason why Sean Layton got let go, because they were like, look, man, we have to spend more money or do some different things in order for us to broaden our game franchises. And then you look at what maybe the top brass of Sony said, no, man, this is a little bit too much money. We're just going to keep things in-house. We're going to get a couple of studios and we're going to make things work this way and start charging people extra for games. It's a catch-22, like I was saying. So it's like, it's a definite benefit, because I can just think about just going back way to Suncoast before they got bought out, and they used to make the games like Tabal. There was Battle Arena Toshinden, all those type of all those studios are.
I still play that. I played that last week. Battle Arena Toshinden on my retro pocket. I love that game.
Love Battle Arena Toshinden.
Yes, sir.
There's so many classic games. Akuji. There's so many games that those studios are just gone finito, like the
ever. Yeah, you'll never hear from them again.
Never hear from them again. And that is the unfortunate part of it. So consolidation is the new era, because these people want they want stability, and if they know that they got that stability, they're good. My last point is this, and I think that if everybody can relate to this, I'm a huge fan of Shenmue, right? I thought it was egregious that Sony brought that developer up on stage to do a GoFundMe. And then
why didn't you fund it?
Why did you not fund it? And then
that's right.
If you played Shenmue 3, it was an embarrassment. I don't talk about games like that, like, because everybody has a different take, and what's somebody else's somewhat, whatever, it's all an eye of the beholder, right? But I can honestly say that Shenmue 3 was not a good.
It was
game.
Unfortunate, yeah.
It was not.
It was not worthy.
Sad. No, it was not worthy.
Yeah, I was actually a Kickstarter of that thing, and I canceled my Kickstarter after they showed up on the PlayStation stage. I was like, well, if PlayStation's gonna fund it, then why you need my money for it?
Right.
I'll buy it when it comes out.
And that's a slippery slope to try to bring that type of narrative over to the console space. PC space, I get it. There's a lot more open independence out there.
Yep. There's a lot more people who need help.
Right.
But if PlayStation has you on the big stage, why do you need my money?
Right.
Well, I'm taking my money back.
Right. So just for clarity, though, explain how that's different from the Psychonaut situation.
Well, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, to my understanding, the differences on the Psychonaut situation was, it was already in a Kickstarted. It was a Kickstarted game, right? But obviously, their Kickstarter was not completely funded. Yes, they asked for an amount, and the amount was given to them. But based on the amount they asked for, they were going to basically limit their scope to make sure it works, right? And then post that, Microsoft buys them, infuses more cash, and blows out the budget way more than it was before. So they did adhere to all the people who Kickstarted originally, right? But then Microsoft came in and gave them the funding necessary to go further with it. Unlike the Shenmue situation, where they adhered to it. Yes, they did a Kickstarter, GoFundMe, but at the end of the day, PlayStation did not end up funding it.
No,
PlayStation basically brought them on stage to let them remind people.
You don't think there was no money that Sony provided?
I think Sony provided some money for like commercials and for marketing, but the game was
still on Kickstarter. It wasn't like unlike Psychonauts, which was on a Kickstarter a long time ago, and then Xbox bought them now to then move forward. They literally let the Shenmue developer come on stage to promote the Kickstarter starting next week. Are you serious? You're on the PlayStation stage, bro.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Like, so at that time, Double Fine was independent, trying to fund the game.
Double Fine had already taken the money, had already taken the Kickstarter money, and was already working on the game based on what they got. Now we all know the game development is always ridiculously expensive, so no matter how much they asked for, it was going to be a tight budget, right? So Xbox helped them blow it out, and we've already heard about, they made boss fights and this and that.
And Xbox did the same thing with NXL.
Exactly.
3. So
exactly. With the whereas there's a difference with the Shenmue developers, where yes, they got PlayStation's attention, yes, they got on the PlayStation stage, but that did not then make the Kickstarter null and void. They still went through with the Kickstarter, which is like, if PlayStation's finally funding you, why are you then asking for money from your customers? Why not wait until the product is complete before you then start asking? But it is what it is.
Right.
It turned out a different way, and clearly, based on what you're saying there, KMEGA, PlayStation saw that and went, "Yeah, we need these guys for the E3 of Dreams." But realistically, when it's all said and done, this thing's not going to be fit to shine our shoes.
Well, it was a slate at Microsoft, because remember, Shenmue used to be exclusive on Xbox.
To be exclusive to Xbox. I played 1 and 2 on Xbox. Yeah,
right. And so therefore, it was one of those things like,
actually, the OG on Dreamcast.
Look who we've got on stage right now. We got so this game, and so it did bring a lot of buzz, and a lot of people's excited, and it brought more of the like throwing dirt on Xbox on and saying that last gen, and then you see nobody talks about that game.
Yep. It came and went.
Yeah,
out of nowhere.
Yeah. It was like $6 on PC. So that should tell you right there. And I bought it when it was like $35, because I was like, I'm a little bit on the fence because I haven't heard anybody talk about it. And so when I got it, I started playing it, and I was like, oh my God.
You know what, KMEGA? I think I talked about this when I was on Yes Show. And I'm just going to use this as a shameless opportunity to bang this drum again.
Go for it, bro.
We do not need to buy games at launch. How many games have you bought, spent this full $60, $70 on it, then it goes in your backlog and you don't end up playing it till it's on sale for half off, when at that time all the bugs are probably fixed too?
Right.
We're such consumers, like we treat this shit like it's a religion, and we go out there throwing our money at these things, trying to prove I don't know what to I don't know who. If you're not ready to play a game that day, you could wait.
Indeed.
And you will be the better for it.
Yep, 100%. Real quick,
and if that makes me cheap, great. I didn't achieve all the success in my life by throwing my money away on corporations that don't care.
Anytime I've spoken to people who make a lot of money, that's the first thing they say. The reason why we have a lot of money is because we don't spend it frivolously. So there you go. Let me address beast mode real quick. Yes, I know that they didn't just add boss fights. It's for the purpose of the conversation. The main idea was that when Xbox game studios integrated them into their fold, they then were able to give them more resources to then flesh out the game in its entirety, whether that be boss fights or whatever else was done to get that game across the finish line correctly, right? And I guess my point. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, in case in point, all you got to do is just put the comparison to Psychonauts 2 to Shenmue 3. Which game is better?
Exactly. And basically, my point on that was, why is it that the Shenmue developers were also potentially, seemingly presented that opportunity, but ultimately Sony probably decided not to go all the way. It was more for show than anything else, because at the end of the day, it was still ended up being a Kickstarter, and it looks like that game didn't even benefit from any of that contribution that Sony potentially gave them. So I guess we'll move off of that specific topic, but in general, that take that started all the back and forth about consolidation and this and that. They're talking about how terrible it would be if if we woke up one day and Microsoft had bought Take-Two and made GTA 6 quote unquote an exclusive title.
Well, let me ask you a question because
go ahead.
If I may.
Yeah.
Has LinkedIn gotten worse?
Exactly. Keep going.
Has Minecraft gotten worse?
Nope. GitHub. Keep going.
GitHub. People are still using that. Last I checked. Right. So my thing is this. Right. I get that there have been missteps and people kind of want to look at one they look at isolated things and they make these generalized statements, which I find very strange. It's like they choose what they want to generalize on and what they want to be very specific about.
Yep.
Right. So we'll hear a lot of Scalebound and Crackdown 3, but we don't hear that Minecraft just turned in $1.1 billion in revenue last year and has like 130 million active users every month.
And Roblox too.
And Roblox. That's been a partnership with Microsoft for a long time. So again, has Bethesda have they dipped in quality?
They dipped in quality before Microsoft bought them.
No. But I'm saying have they dipped in quality
them being
since?
bought is probably will save them. Well, we shall see, right? What big Bethesda game has come out since they bought them?
My ask is during the Nadella reign, what acquisitions have not worked out for Microsoft?
Yeah, true. That is a good point. Yeah.
Skype is a Ballmer thing, right?
Yep.
Nokia, a Ballmer thing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. People forget that a lot. They call Microsoft, Sony. They forget that those names are just names. The leaders have changed, and a lot changes with the leadership. A lot.
Right.
So
a whole lot changes with that leadership.
So again, like what a lot of this complaining I think comes down to, or this concern, is just people are so used to that Xbox got no games meme, and
Xbox
they
bad,
really
PlayStation good,
right? But
that's it.
So that's about that. So I don't really put much time or thought into the people with all their sort of faux consternation. However, just solely discussing acquisitions, I think there's a thing that people have to understand, right?
And I'll put this really good OBM quote in the chat on the screen here for y'all to read. Very, very good point. Different universe. Absolutely different universe. Continue. Yes, go ahead.
Right. Even recently, Nadella said Xbox was on the outside, and now it's center, it's core to the business.
Yep.
Right. So again, the thing to understand right now is there's several things happening. Right. There are fears of inflation. Right. The Fed is thinking about raising interest rates, which will affect bond prices, right? There are currently Democrats in control of all three sectors of the government, right? That could mean that corporate taxes could go up. They threaten this all the time, right? They're one bill pass away, one budget away from corporate taxes going up, and with fears of inflation and with record high stock prices, because some of these purchases are made with stock, with common stock as well as cash. And then there's the fear of the requirement to repatriate funds that are like in Ireland and some of these offshore locations, right? And then again, to be paid taxes on. So a lot of these, and it's not just, we keep limiting this conversation to Microsoft and Sony. There's a lot more publishers out there. We We just saw EA buy Playtronic from WB.
That's right.
And or Playtronic.
Playtronic, yeah.
Playtronic.
Right.
Mobile developer.
So you know, what if Capcom buys Sega? We're all saying Microsoft is going to buy Sega. What if it's another Japanese publisher that buys another one? Right. So the point is, it is almost the safest bet to hedge against inflation to buy a studio, because the output and content that they produce will earn more than the interest of the money sitting in the bank. And we've been on this record high rise, right? We're in this crazy bull market right now. At some point, there'll be a crash, because that's just how the economy is designed. It's peaks and troughs, booms and busts. So since we've been on a high for so long, a lot of these billion-dollar corporations, $1 trillion in the case of Microsoft, they didn't get there by being stupid with their money. So they're saying, hey, this money could be worth less. Let me use it on something that can make me more money. That's before we even come to the feeding content into Game Pass thing. This is why everyone is doing it, and then you have to factor in being locked out of content.
So to be fair, let me and it's not, I'm not discounting anything you're saying, but I honestly think that where they're going more is not in the tea leaf reading of, hey, it's righteous for the business. You know, it may be righteous for the business, but the yarn that is being spun is that it's bad for gaming as a whole, you consumer of games.
No.
If you like games, you should not like this, because this will make sure that your games won't be what you're used to. You know, that whatever you like, it will be less than that, or it will be different than that. And Microsoft is out there trying to ruin gaming for you, the consumer.
Okay,
what do you think of that?
So that was the business case for why you're seeing this across market consolidation across the board. I saw that bug right there, but we'll ignore that for now. However, the thing is this, right? I think that the first thing we need to understand that this is going to happen, and that's why I spent 10 minutes making the business case. It is nothing you can do about it, and it's not just Microsoft. Everyone is doing it. It's
happening whether you like it or you don't.
You cannot blame Microsoft for this thing. So that's right. That's that part of it. Right. But now in this world, the fear that people have is, you wonder if you would see the fear in a different direction. I was upset when EA bought BioWare. Right. So I do get the fear, but I just think the thing to understand is that you have to look at what Microsoft has been doing. And if you're worried about things being thrown into a subscription service, I only ask you this. Since the inception of Netflix, or the introduction of Netflix, has creativity been stifled?
No.
Yeah,
yes or no?
Good point.
I would argue
better.
Exactly. I would argue people would take bigger swings, because guess what? People like Martin Scorsese, one of the most storied directors in all of film, went to he had to go to Netflix to make The Irishman, because the old school industry would not fund his vision because it was too risky.
Let me make a point.
And Netflix said, yes, absolutely. We want the creator to do what he does, create. We're the money guys. You are the creative guys. Stop worrying about
and just let us do us and give you the money.
Let me add a little bit something to that.
Go ahead, Kate.
Case in point, the old way of how business works in movies. Just look at the box office and what they always push out, and then you look at what the new era is, which is streaming, Netflix, Hulu, Paramount, all those. They have a lot more freedom to make different type of content. Now everything at the box office has got to be big, huge superheroes or something of that ilk. in order to get people to be drawn to come to the box office. Movies like Chocolate ain't going to be moving the needle to get people to come to the
yes,
theaters.
yes.
So that's the same strategy of what's going on in gaming, is that the old mantra of how people thought of like, well, you just got to, you got to do it this way, the old school way, is what's killing gaming. And that's why these publishers or these studios are like, hey, come and pick me up as soon as possible, because we're wasting so much money. Another point I'm going to say right quick. Okay, let's just say BioWare was independent still, right? And BioWare made Anthem. Where do you think that they would be at now?
Oh yeah, they'd be done. They'd be shuttered at this point.
Right. So that because as much money in all the stuff that the manpower and all that they had to put into making Anthem, which I enjoyed Anthem, but because of the way that they messed it up towards the end, that you're right, that studio would have been gone. So it was a good thing that EA was there to help them see them through, because if not, if they didn't get purchased and it was independent, they'd be gone, or they would have to go back to the old same things that they would make, and you would be seeing a lot of KOTORs or a lot of Dragon Ages back to back, so they could try to recoup some of the money that they've lost. And that's not good.
They can't be bold and creative. They have to just keep doing the tried and true.
I want to address. This is probably something I should address on the reel, but I'll address this very quickly. When we say that Netflix interfered with The Last Airbender, right? Who made that claim? Those are the creators of the
Last Airbender.
So we do understand that things that play in live action are a lot different than things that play in an animated series. Can we agree on that point?
Yes. And you know what?
Have they ever directed anything live action?
See, this is my point, Everborn. We should not speak on this, because until you see their product in full completion, because now they've moved on to someplace else, and their live action will come. Once you see that, then you can go, well, maybe Netflix needed to give them guidance because they didn't know what they were doing.
It's not like Netflix
we don't
doesn't
see
know
that
how to
yet.
Make a show.
We don't know that yet. So for now, that is all. The jury is still out on that. But the point about Netflix is still true, though. That's the fear that people talk about. Oh, well, you're consolidating. Then they're going to control what they do and how they do it. So far, all of that, the jury's still out, even in the gaming space, right? And to speak a bit more to what you guys were talking about there, the reason why I think that people make too much of it, even in the consumer, your games part, the reason why I think it's too much made of that is, unlike Netflix and Netflix and all of them, and the movie industry has a lot of has some of this as well. But in the gaming space, while all this was happening, on the flip side, they were also lowering the barrier of entry drastically to all the tools, to all so at this point, Mr. Everborn Saga can get up one morning and go, look, I think I want to make a game, and use the tools that are now been available to that have been made available to him with at no cost to entry, and jump in and start doing things, right? While the big dogs are now being consolidated. There is room for both, right? So the idea that gaming will just become, well, now all we see is what PlayStation or Xbox gives us, that's not necessarily true either, because while, yes, BioWare and them and those ilk will require more resources to get their creative juices flowing and get it to the best clip possible for you, right? There is still so many tools out there and so many independent studios out there, right, at this point now, that the next generation of IPs, the next generation of those things that you didn't know you wanted, are being developed right now by people that are like me. People who get up one morning and go, I want to build a game. And then they go to Stack Skills and download the CBT and start working on it, because it's like that now, whereas it wasn't like that then. So I can foresee a world in the next, let's say middle of this generation, towards the end of this generation. Yeah, you may see, let's pick a crazy world. EA has been bought, or Take-Two, or any of those, and there's a lot of consolidation, and this house has a stronghold and that other house has a stronghold, right? But there will always be the Celestes in the middle. There will always be the Tunics and the Death's Doors.
Forget the Celeste and the Death's Door. What about the Canas and the Ascents? I'm saying
Exactly.
these things that look like they
Right.
damn well are AAA
No,
games,
100%,
and I think that
100%,
I even think that is the future for
Yep.
Microsoft in the Eastern region, in the Eastern
Mhm.
markets, is to they already said they're working with 200 indie developers.
Yep.
So we've Bright Memory Infinite, Black Myth Wukong.
Well,
all of these things.
Black Myth has a big team. Black Myth is a big. There are a lot of.
It's a big team now, though, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was
true.
it all? I don't know if it was
12
always
minutes from Pixel Bit. 12 minutes. Yes, very true.
So I say all this to say, I think some of the biggest games that we're going to see this generation is actually going to come from those smaller studios.
Indeed.
And they will stay independent, and even some of them will get scooped up. But that's where the growth you'll see. And don't even get me started on the places around the world. There's so much talent in Africa and India and South Korea and things like that.
Right.
And the last bit of smoke I will put on it, and I'll let you speak, KMEGA. The last bit of smoke I will dispel is that whole idea of the Xbox won't do it because they're gonna keep GTA 6 from 50 million PlayStation gamers who will be very upset. That is absolute hogwash, because I'm a PlayStation gamer, right? I will play it wherever wherever the game presents itself. If you tell me right now GTA 6 is coming, there's two worlds. I'm either paying $70 for it, which is baked into the cake. It is what it is. We move on. Or it's been consolidated into one of these things, and I'm paying either part of my subscription model, and or it then becomes available to me everywhere, including on a fridge and on a toaster.
I want to
consumers. Go ahead.
Just one other point to that thing, and there's a question. I put a tweet out about this. Has the coalition ruined Gears?
Exactly.
Well, I'm not done yet. Has Playground?
They've made it better. Has
Playground Games ruined Forza Horizon?
Well, depending on who you talk to, they mismanaged it.
No.
Has Turn 10 ruined Motorsport?
No.
Yep. Exactly.
Has World's Edge ruined Age of Empires?
Nope.
Has Mojang ruined Minecraft since the acquisition? Has Minecraft been ruined, or has it grown?
Some people think that Minecraft Dungeons was a bad game, so they say it was ruined. I don't agree, but you know.
How's Sea of Thieves doing?
Better than it's ever done.
Yeah, for sure.
How is Flight Sim doing and viewed by all?
A lot more attention than it's ever gotten.
Ever, for sure, for sure. Yeah.
So these are their before they went on the buying spree. Those were their studios. And we can say what we want about 343, but I discussed that earlier, how we get selective amnesia when we talk about what those games were rated. It's very cool to say the 343 games were trash, but the sales and the Metascore tell a different story.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say about 343. And Halo Infinite is looking like it's going to be great. And that is before we come to the Obsidians and the Double Fines and the Compulsion games and all those things.
Yeah. So KMEGA, please speak your piece. What is? And we're winding down the show.
Yeah.
But the idea of the consolidation in the market,
because we're supposed to be going somewhere. But no. But I just want to. Okay, so to piggyback, I mean, because you guys are both right. I mean, Everborn was spot on with a lot of what he said. I just go back to thinking. See, that just goes back to a lot of people that's talking this nonsense about how bad it is for exclusivity. That just knows that these guys don't know their history in gaming. Because I would have swore, even though it wasn't, but everybody thought the only way to play Tekken was to play it on PlayStation. The only way to play certain other titles was on PlayStation. And and that's what made PlayStation what it is today, because of their marketing deals, of how they, those games weren't really truly exclusive, but they just had the marketing rights to those games to where they just stayed on those consoles. Because eventually, once we started seeing it, Tekken is on everything now. But that's just going to show, like, nobody tripped out back then about Mario or Clay Fighter or whatever that was on Nintendo.
and nobody was tripping about Panzer Dragoon or anything else that was over there, Knights or anything else that was on the Saturn or any other games that from the 3DO for the the Atari Jaguar, all of that.
Hey, Mega, just one second. Nobody complains about exclusivity when Sony gets some shit and locks some shit down. So anybody can miss me with that argument.
Yeah,
right.
That is definitely the point.
That's the whole point of it, is that it's just like everybody is cool with exclusivity to their liking if it benefits their narrative. And their narratives has been false and been shot down like, I mean, ridiculous. I don't even know how some of these people could still have listeners, because they
that's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. Yeah. I don't mind your normal average user having opinions. We all have opinions, right? But for somebody who, no doubt plays on everything, no doubt has a better understanding of the industry than most, right? Mm-hmm. This is almost seemingly malicious, because you're trying to fool people into purse clutching, as Everborn likes to say, because clearly you're trying to rile people up when there's no reason for it. There is just no reason for it.
None. And that's the thing to me. I mean, when I was back on BGST and on the multiplayer back then, I was talking when Sea of Thieves first came out. Oh, the Kraken is lacking and this and that and this. And I say, watch, Sea of Thieves is going to be the hottest thing going. Just wait. The potential is there.
20 million active users later.
There you go. That's
game as a service. This thing is going to blow up. Now, I was wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong about damn, I can't even, that's bad because I can't even think of my game, and I enjoy the hell out of it. The little fighter that came out from Ninja Theory.
Oh yeah, I forget the name of it. Yeah, their little pet project they had right when they were bought. Yeah.
So, and I love that game. I thought that game it was the hottest thing at E3, that they won an award, and I'm like, oh, this game is going to be crazy. Yeah. And it just didn't gravitate. And so I'll admit that I was wrong about that game, but Sea of Thieves was right there. And Sea of Thieves, you look at how the benefit of it is there, and like people try to tell you that games as a service is a bad thing. That, listen, you go back to when we were playing games, you didn't have to, you had demos when you got into you had demos back in the days in some degree for certain games, but other times, especially if you go back to the Nintendo, Sega Genesis days back then, you just had to guess. The box looked dope, and I'm going to play it. Or if you can rent the game, and good luck with that if it was a popular game, because you might not get it. But for those kind of niche games that was sitting up there and they only had maybe one copy, you went ahead and copped it, and you had to figure out that game was good or that game was horrible. And if you you had to spend money to figure that out, even if you bought the game or if you rented it. Now you look at these games, and if the games were busted, they were busted. They were not getting fixed. Now you have the benefit of, even when the game is busted, they're still going to stick with it until they get the game right. It's very rare that these games that come out, that because we get a lot of games now that's messed up in the beginning of launch, that they make the game right. Like The Witcher. The Witcher 3 is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah,
but that game was broken as hell.
It was busted day one for sure.
But day one for damn near 2 years before they had it absolutely correct.
That's why I still hold out hope for Cyberpunk, because it was busted like that Cyberpunk when it first came out. Yes.
Right.
There's one other thing I just want to add to this whole conversation with the Game Pass concern or the hate or the buying games at full price. Buying a game, a $60 or $70 game, is not a flex, right? Like, who cares? Why do you need to prove that you went and paid full price or more than you had to for a game?
Full price on this movie, man. I bought it and I bought popcorn.
I got this.
Come on, dog.
Nobody is like, oh, look at this. I bought they raising the price of movie tickets. I'm happy about that. I'm trying to support Disney.
You know what's funny is because some of these people will cap like that, and then they over here wondering why they light bill, why they almost afraid that their light's gonna go off because they over here trying to cap. Like, no, man. Value is value. If you sit there, it doesn't matter how you do it. People do it, and there's a reason for it. If you don't, the only reason why those people don't like Game Pass is because Game Pass isn't on their console. That's just
Facts,
that
man.
is that is just absolutely the facts right there. And
Yep.
and I guarantee you, this is the thing, the difference between Xbox gamers and PlayStation gamers, or I should say fanboys, is that if PlayStation had Game Pass, you damn sure better believe that there would be plenty of hit ups on Xbox exec, like, why we don't have Game Pass? What's the problem here? You know, and then there would be those
Xbox gamers should request for more. They should ask for better.
yeah. There would be some of those fools out there to be saying that crazy shit. But the fact of it is that, like, you know, the majority of people be shutting them like, look, no, that is a great value of what PlayStation doing something of what if they did something like that. They had the potential to kill the market when they started off with PlayStation Now, but they got greedy, and then they had a cash cow. They could have added value to it, and look, and they could have.
Yeah, PlayStation could have done exactly what Xbox is doing now, and then Xbox would have never even stood a chance.
Yeah, I like OBM's last comment.
No chance. What if they went with VR instead, and look how that's worked. So, my last point on
that's
this
when the
too,
corporation owns your soul. For damn sure.
Right. And this is my last point. When people talk about Crackdown and people talk about Scalebound, those studios aren't owned by Xbox.
Yep.
This is what happened.
Second party contracts.
What happened with Scalebound? What happened with the situation with Crytek? What's happened with Remedy? What's happened with the studio that worked on Crackdown 3 is the main reason why Xbox is saying we're going to be scooping those studios.
Exactly.
So we don't need a middleman. We don't need a middleman no more. We're going to keep it all in house now.
That is the equivalent of Netflix getting tired of friends getting taken out of their service and went, screw that. We're creating our own stuff. We're not going to be beholden to any of these guys who make us look bad, but we can't say why they make us look bad. We know why Scalebound went bad, and it has nothing to do with Microsoft. But nobody wants to take Platinum to task. Nobody wants to do that.
Anybody that in their right mind would not tolerate what Platinum Games did with Microsoft. That's right. If anybody, let's say that you have somebody working on your car, and then you go and you give them the money up front and say, well, okay, when is the car going to be done? Oh, the car will be done in about 2 weeks. You go in 2 weeks and the car is halfway done. You're going to be like, well, damn, we need another 2 weeks.
Oh, and by the way, we use that money that you gave us to go and build a different engine for a different car.
For a different car. But you know what? Just give us another 2 weeks. Matter of fact, hold on. Give us another month. And then you come back. And then you say, all right, you know what I'm saying, what's going on? Is my car ready?
And then you say, how much is it going to cost? And they said, well, that depends how much you got.
Right. Like well, I gave you the price that you told me that it was. Well, no, we're going to need a little bit more. What do you think that you're going to do?
That's right.
But again, and this is what and I don't want to turn this into that kind of discussion. It's hard because sometimes you just
discussion's already over.
But this is the problem. You speak something that is true or and something that is easy to understand, and then it comes off like that because you're dealing with so many disingenuous arguments.
But you know what? Honestly,
when you take the time to dismantle each of them, it seems like you're fighting, but you're not. You are just
making
common sense.
Point. Yeah. But you know what, everyone, I've come to the realization through all this conversation that we have on Spaces and all around here that dwelling on them misunderstanding or purposely misunderstanding for the purpose of their narrative doesn't get anybody anywhere. You know what I'm saying. I know exactly what you're saying. And those of us who listen to these conversations, who appreciate these conversations, know exactly what we're saying as well. So if there are those out there who choose to misconstrue what is being said and try to use it for more fodder, go for it, bro. I'm just not going to engage. It is what it is. You know, they're going to do right, and I'm gonna commend them for it. They're going to do wrong, and I'm going to smack them for it. And that's just how it's going to be, depending on no matter what platform I'm on. You know, that's just the way it's going to be.
So don't let people. Okay, I was just going to say.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, don't let people try to tell you that Xbox needs to rush anything, because we have so much content now. Like we're behind. Like we already got a backlog, and now the games is just popping up. No, if PlayStation could have things to be baked in the oven and they could take their time with it, so can Xbox. If Hellblade 2 don't come out in 2023, I don't want to see an Xbox gamer bitch or moan and complain.
No, not at all. Wait until it's done, right?
Right. And another point that you were saying that I totally agree with was that the one thing that was missing last gen was those in-between games that was so good back in the 360 PlayStation 3 era was those AA games, like those games like Wet and etc.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Microsoft owns Wet, right? They'll never use it. They own Wet now.
I loved that game. But,
me too. I really loved that game. I thought that was a great game. It was fun.
Right. But that's the thing to me is where it's like the tweeners are so important, because that's what's the build up for the big AAA experience.
That's right, 100%.
So then you have the indies. That's what made the 360 so fantastic. That's why I was like, Xbox just need to get back to that strategy. You had the arcade games, which was the indie games. Then you had those AA games, those tweeners, and then you had your big AAA titles.
And the AAA takes forever. And while they're taking forever, these others will keep you busy, keep you happy. Perfect plan.
I don't know. Maybe I need to purge some of my followers list, but
I think as and the homie Forte was in here, and he has since left, but I think you need to take his advice. What he said on the DPS podcast, he asked, "Do you work? Does he play games? Because every time I get online, I see this man on Spaces talking to somebody."
He couldn't see me online if he wasn't online himself, but we're not going to talk about that today.
Everyone needs to take a break off of Spaces and stop with all the debate, man.
I keep hearing like I'm in these spaces by people that were also in the spaces.
Also in the spaces, damn right.
Like, what are you doing here?
Listening or participating, right?
This is like it's like the college days when people would creep between the dorms in the middle of the night and you bump into them and give them the head nod. What are you doing out here?
What you doing out here?
Listen, at the end of the day, right? Because this is the thing that kind of I try not to let it bother me, because like I appreciate games in all sizes, and there's never been one of these consoles since the Super Nintendo and Genesis that I haven't owned and participated in and enjoyed. The constant kind of downplaying of things and kind of shitting all over things, it's unfortunate to me, because we can enjoy all these things and they can all be great, and we don't have to put them against each other because they have different business models. None of that makes sense, and it really adds nothing to the conversation, right? Like, we can really discuss some of these things, the pros and cons of some of these things, but all of this narrative building, again, it's real weak, and I wish I could. I need to get rid of the non-cultured gamers that are around me, right? So that's it. That's all I got to say. That's my closing note.
And on that note, that is a very good note to close on, and I completely agree with you. And that is why I advocate that we start calling ourselves gamers. That's it. Not PlayStation gamers, not Xbox gamers, not PC gamers. If you happen to be a person who plays games where games are, you're a gamer, right?
I actually have a philosophical issue with that, and I think it's a fruitful discussion.
Okay.
I don't want to jettison the terms, because some of these things, when you say you're an Xbox gamer, it's not because you're it's because you feel like you're a part of the Xbox community and it is a thing. And I don't think we should jettison that. If you say you're an Xbox gamer, the fact that you're a gamer should be a given. I think the problem is so many people doing this gatekeeping bullshit that says you're not a real gamer if this or
show me that.
So I don't think proof. Right. I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying you are a part of the Xbox community. You know what I mean? And we should be able to respect those things and still interact with everybody else. Not everybody has to think the same and like the same things as you.
So I think we can all agree, closing this conversation up, that we should not be people who are gatekeepers. We should let everyone be able to speak to any conversation that they want to in the gaming space. But we should also agree that Everborn Saga is not allowed to speak about GTA 5 because he's never played it. But on that note, we will end this conversation, and we really, really, really appreciate Mr. KMEGA 405 joining us for the first time. blessing us with such great content. Always watching your stuff. Always appreciate what you've been doing in these gaming streets. Not taking no crap from nobody. Please tell the few folks who probably may not know what you do and where you are online. And by the way, all his details are in the show notes. The Twitch, the YouTube, the Twitter, all that is in the show notes. So please click on that and follow this man. But please speak on it. Tell the folks where they can find you, what you do around here, and where they can expect what's next from you in these gaming conversations.
Oh man, really do appreciate the invite, man. It was an honor to be a part of what you guys do, man. This is really good stuff. I hope that this won't be the last time for sure. But
for sure not. No, definitely not.
But yeah, no, you can check out my channel, KMEGA 405 on YouTube. I also stream on Twitch, which is KMEGA 405. I also I'm on Twitter. And that's where you'll find me doing, I'll get a little messy sometimes, but
fervent fools left and right.
Oh man, but that's at KMEGA4, and man, you can check out the GRG podcast at 8 p.m. Central on Fridays, 6 p.m. Pacific, and 9 p.m. Eastern time. GMT time, I believe it's Australian time. It's 11 a.m. and then it's in like the UK is like 2 a.m. So, come and check us out, man. We do Devin the Gamer, which is what we do that. And then I got some more stuff that's in the works, but I got to take care of the personal stuff first before I get all that stuff going. But this was an honor, man. Really do appreciate it, man. Thank you. And also I do the next podcast on Thursday nights man, we've been doing it for over 6 years now. Me and the Xbox 448, the next podcast, man. That's on Thursday night, 7 p.m. That's around the same time where you guys do y'all's podcast. So, it's great to be doing it. I love talking about gaming. You know what I'm saying? I hate when people try to be over slanderous. It's all right to talk a little trash, but when it comes to get personal or people take this stuff too far and they can't be they can't be face to face, then what's the point of even trying to be
throwing around accusations like whole communities are racist? But
Geez, let's not even give that the energy it does not deserve.
Let's not give that energy. But yeah, man, thank you guys so much, man, and appreciate all the people that was in here that was listening with us tonight.
Sure,
or I should say today. I'm so used to doing podcasts at night. It's daytime. So. Thank you.
So, and how about you, Mr. Everborn Saga? Tell the people why we're not going to be able to do the gaming, be able to do On the Reel next week. Tell them the amazing things you're going to be getting into this week. Tell them about the everbornsaga.com and all the fun stuff that's happening there and the new book that's coming out. Please speak.
I mean, you just told them, but I'll continue that.
Indeed.
No. Everborn Saga everywhere. Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, Oculus, Quest, all that jazz. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, same name everywhere. Send me a friend request. I usually accept all of them unless you have like a very weird, offensive name. I try to follow everybody who follows me back, everyone that I see anyway. And but more importantly, everbornsaga.com, because that is where you can get some of the fine merchandise that we sell. And when I say merchandise, I mean things like that poster that you see behind me or there. Things are left and right messed up. We have the Prince of Arcadia series. We have the Ariel's Adventure series. And we will be at Comic-Con this Thursday, October 7th through October 10th. This is the first time Everborn will be be a vendor at Comic-Con or NYCC, I should say. We may be doing a panel with Black Sands. I got to confirm that, see if that's still a thing that may happen, maybe not. But we will be there. We will be signing copies of the books. We're launching a new book at Comic-Con. It is Prince of Arcadia Ultimate Edition Book 2, which includes chapters 3 and 4. And chapter 3 has been completely remastered with all new colors and lettering. So there's about 10 or 15 pages of bonus content as well. So that will be launching there. We're signing everything that's there. There'll be some t-shirts, there'll be posters, all that stuff. So if you're in the tri-state area and you're vaccinated, because they require that this year, it's a first time thing, But come to NYCC. We will be at booth 25I. And in the meantime, you can check out Everborn Saga also on YouTube, where we do On the Reel. And that's kind of like this show, but it's all about TV and movies and pop culture stuff. So
different levels of slander.
Different levels of slander. Mostly toward 80% Batman slander. But that is all that's all the shilling I can do for now. The only company I shill for is my own, I should say.
Hey man, I should say, people, we're real proud of this man. Going to New York Comic Con. If you're anywhere in the vicinity, go check it out. He'll be, kissing hands and writing on babies, as they say. Exactly. Come out there, show some support. It's great. I wish I could be there as well. Next time, baby, I'm coming out there. Next time. I'm so proud. It's awesome that this is happening, and I look forward to seeing all the cool stuff that comes from it.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
As for me, TKO Asante everywhere. I have been honored to be asked to be guests on all these really cool shows that I've been watching all this time. It started with KMEGA, but believe it or not, Mr. KMEGA asked me to be on the show. I was so honored. And now, let's see, I'll be on the Shop podcast tonight with PTK Blam and Centurion and Pong Soul and the rest of the crew. I'm excited. That's a show that I also watch. That usually caps up my weekend. I always enjoy that show. So I'm excited to be a guest on that show. As I said, I was honored to be invited to come and join the Xbox Ultimate podcast on Fun Speculations channel. So thank you guys so much again for having me come out there. And let's see, I think next week there's still logistics to be worked out, but I've been asked to jump on Season Gaming's Bitcast podcast with Ains. So I'm super excited. That's another one of those. What's up, man?
No.
I thought you were saying something. Okay, thank you. That's another one of those really exciting things, the bucket list items for me. So I'm super excited to be asked to do that. So thank you guys so much for watching this. Thank you guys so much for evangelizing it. I see a lot of y'all on Twitter, promoting it and letting people know that it's out there. Please please subscribe. The channels are growing pretty healthily, and please continue to advocate on their behalf. If there's anything that we can do to make the show better, if there's any conversations that we should be having, anything you want to have that you would like for us to institute, please, reach out. We read all the comments. I reply to all of them. You follow me on Twitter, I'll 100% follow you back. We can have conversations and all that. This weekend, if you have the chance to, follow me on Xbox. Follow Everborn on Xbox. Let's get in there. 12-man team. Come on now. A big team battle. Let's get into it. It's been so much fun. I'm looking for more people to play. I have some community members in the chat that already play anyway. Shout out to you, Gerald Mack, and the rest of the folks. We were having a great time last time. We're going to jump in there and do it again this weekend. Everborn, I'm not going to let you get away with not jumping in. You gotta jump in.
By the way, both Kay Asante and I are both at 188 followers here on.
Oh wow, that's great.
Because it's a neck and neck race to get to 200. So
there you go.
Depending on whose takes you like more, do you like my slander or do you like his PC apologizing?
He is the Malcolm to my Martin. So if you appreciate the kumbaya-ness of it all, so please
help me get to 200 before this man. And then we can have all the bragging rights after. So
Everborn Saga, you are definitely in. You are in. Please, bro. Contact. Let's get into it. Halo this weekend. Why didn't we even reach out to Pixel in the first place? What's wrong with me? For sure. Yes, for sure. Pixel G. We'll do that. But yes, please follow. Please subscribe. Please like all the content you see. We do it for the enjoyment and for the fun, and we continue to do it. We appreciate you guys liking it and appreciating it and sending us good comments. My Twitter mentions are full of people who appreciate the show and all that. So I always think that's just so motivating and great. So thank you guys so much.
That's interesting. My Twitter mentions are full of nonsense.
Well, that's because you're always on Spaces trying to speak.
I'm in everybody's business. I know.
You're trying to speak the good word, trying to convince
mind your business. That's all. Just mind
your business. Indeed. But all right. It's been a great show. Thanks again, KMEGA, for joining us. You know,
No problem.
As was said, you know, you got the invitation. Whenever you want to come back, bro, you don't even have to ask. Just pop in the chat and say, like Slow-Mo. He's like, I want to argue. Give me the link. I'm like, all right, man.
You didn't give him the link last week.
No.
Still running. That's all I'm saying.
Stop the slanderous talk, my man. Stop the slanderous talk. That's unappreciated. He couldn't join today, otherwise he would have been in here. Anyways, so it's been a good time. I appreciate everybody joining, everybody chopping it up with us. We'll be back next week. Until then, have fun gaming, y'all, and stop all the damn slander.